going to press the button, and we should be live. Welcome again to a Molten Chat. Once again, we are on a Thursday night at 7 o'clock ish, and we're here for another talk about modular synthesis, technology, life, death, beer, all sorts of things. And my special guest this evening is Mr. Steve Davis. It's not Sir, is it? It's not Sir Steve Davis.
I bloody hope not.
It's not going to be now.
That call would be a weird one, and well, from snooker's perspective, it would be something that would be good for snooker. But yeah, I'm not so bothered. Yeah, but thanks very much. And I've dressed up, as you can see, Robin, in your honour. I thought I'd make the effort. And it's a little bit on the short. I think during lockdown, I've either piled on the timber or it's shrunk in a few washes. But I thought I'd dress up in your honour for the amount of entertainment over the last year you've given me. Because it's been fantastic. I've watched every resistor you soldered. Every one. And I would say that I feel a little aggrieved that that you now you speed up the soldering of the resistors, which I feel I'm getting shortchanged by my Patreon addiction.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I love the soldering. That's me. I'm an anorak.
Yeah, well, okay, well that's a fair point. I will take that into consideration. I mean, I think perhaps I'll do some more live streaming soldering at some point, and then that way I can't speed it up because but it can take a long time. That is the downside. Do let us know in the chat just quick that you can hear us both before we spend an hour and then realise we're both on mute. That would be helpful. So give us a wave in the chat. Do let us know, and I think that would be helpful. Just checking that everything's okay.
What's the delay?
No, we're all right. It's just my little graph of people just disappeared as if we suddenly disappeared and then we're back again. So loud and clear. Good. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Good. I can relax then a little bit more, in which case I will have a drink and then we'll get started. Okay, we went through some kind of bottleneck, I think. We're out the other side. Good. So, Steve, it's really, really great to have you on. I'm thrilled that you agreed to come on. I'm thrilled to have met you as well. I'm sure lots of people know you and are aware of you, but perhaps not so aware of your musical leanings and output as a jolly bona fide record releasing musician.
I know. It's a shock to me as well. It has to be said. I'm a music fan. I'm since 2016, roughly, a modular synthesizer fan. But I didn't think that the two would collide and go in the direction that the end result would be being part of a band. And that has taken the modular synthesizer playing part to another level that I wasn't aware that was going to happen. So it's not just the hobby part, which is wonderful, and I would have turned up at synth meets and done do a bit of DIYing and being the punter that I still am. But it's moved on to being, performing on stage with the Utopia Strong and having to jump in the deep end of actually making music, not just in the studio and recording stuff, but actually going on the stage has been a journey that's been so surreal and also very frightening. But I'm pleased that I did it because it's been enlightening and also a journey. I'm not too sure where I am on that journey. I think I'm very far down the ladder, but it's all about sticking yourself in the deep end. And I think the David Bowie line about making yourself out of your comfort zone is very important. So I'm stretching myself. So my limited amount of ability on the modular synthesizer is being challenged, but I'm not doing it on my own.
Yeah, well, so it's quite unusual to be in a band, to be working with modular, because so many of us are in our own little chamber to do that. So to work with other people, to collaborate and to perform live, I think that's brilliant. I think that's really exciting.
What I have found is that because you have other people doing a lot more of the work as well. Carvis Tarabi plays guitar and harmonium in the band, and loads of guitar pedals, obviously, and Mike York, who's previously been in Coil and Teleplasmist, still is in Teleplasmist, plays synth and also blowing instruments as well as bagpipes. So when we're quite a strange band, but when you're performing live, you don't. Funnily enough, it's not like you have to do that much compared to if you were doing it on your own. So I've done one thing at a modular meet down in Southend called Control Voltage, which was fantastic, and they had a great mixture of people every time. It was happening every couple of months, obviously not at the moment. And I did do a 15-minute spot, and it was, it was frightening, but I got through it.
Yeah, it is. You feel very naked up there by yourself, just twiddling those knobs.
Yeah, and 15 minutes. I used to play frames of snooker that took an hour. And they flew by. But the 15 minutes of solo synth was like torture. But I got away with it, or it was all right, Yeah. But I much prefer the band thing. It takes modular synth to another level because you can actually, you don't have to fill in everything. And you can just you can supply just a part of and you can probably get away with just one row of modular. You don't need a whole 12U or anything like that.
Because it is that sense,
actually less is more.
Yeah. I mean, it is that sense that when you're by yourself, you're trying to fill an enormous space. And so you pile on the layers and you add something else. And I mean, I don't know about you, but usually in the first couple of minutes, I've already blown all of my textures. So I've thrown it all in there. So it's like, I've got to put this in. And it's, what do I do now? So yeah, you're right. Having other people filling in the gaps is that must be brilliant.
So yeah, when you were speaking, I've been watching this week, and sort of Travasi, a performer, and obviously, so many people that can do an hour, and Milo Melodies goes,
yes.
and DJs for an hour or whatever. You're thinking this is incredible. You've got to keep it going. That's another level of skill and of experience that I know full well where I'm up to, but I'm a fan. I think you should never lose sight of that fact. So that's why during the last year in lockdown, I've watched so many of online performances from Milo Melodies, Your Good Self, for the Super Booth stuff. I feel like I know your next door gardener and his lawnmower really well, and also I feel like me and the cockerel have bonded,
Yeah,
that's how much I've watched, and it's been more entertaining than the news. So it's been a great journey. I've learned a load, and I've also realised that we're all in the same boat. And I think the job you've done has been fantastic in your journey, and great that you are sort of self-effacing enough to say, okay, this is new to me, and I'm learning as well. And I think that gives people like myself the confidence to go, I don't really know everything about this module. But at least I've got it, and I can perhaps learn a bit more. And what you've done, I think, has been great. So along with all the other really good, along with all the other good influencers or the people that do demos, I think there's a whole gamut out there of people that are helping the punter.
Yeah. I mean, invariably when I talk to other YouTubers about this sort of thing, there is an absolute desire there's a desire, of course, to perform in some way, but there's also a desire to help, because it's such a tricky thing, and you get this sense that if you get to understand something, it becomes so brilliant to you. Look, I've just understood this thing, I need to tell people about it. And YouTube is an awesome platform to be able to just spill out, say, look, because you're not down the pub with somebody who knows anything about this, so instead you just have to turn on the camera and talk out to the world about it. And that's a brilliant thing, particularly because musicians often in the past have felt so far away, they've felt so separate from us. Whereas, in this world, certainly in the modular world, we're all, as you say, we're all in it together, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I'm being relatively new to the whole thing, realizing that the community is really a happy place to be, and it doesn't seem like other types of bunches of people. Everybody's got the sort of the humility to go, oh, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'll sort of nod my head a bit. But then I've only ever experienced going to Bristol for 2 years ago and the name's escaping me, Bristronica Festival. And that was my first experience of a modular festival, and I loved it. I thought the people there were great.
Yeah. Shame
it didn't happen last year and this year, whatever. But I can see myself going to various other meetings as well. I think Super Booth would be great to go. I'd love to go there, other than the fact that it has collided in previous years with the World Snooker Championship, so I couldn't have gone anyway.
Right.
So that's the no. But I don't think NAMM. That obviously this is a NAMM week, isn't it? You're talking about.
Yes.
I tried it. It wasn't for me. I ended up going. I stumbled on a film site. I think it was CMF Film Festival or something, and watched a film on Delia, Derbyshire, instead of trying to negotiate NAMM, and then rewatched I Dream of Wires.
Yes,
which is I thought that was better than NAMM. I could watch because I like repetitive music, and I can sit and play repetitive music all night long. I could easily watch I Dream of Wires on loop.
Was that the BFI Delia, Derbyshire sort of?
No, I don't think it was.
Okay.
No, it's not. It wasn't behind a paywall. It's not. No, it's something else that was on some. No, I'm not absolutely sure it was, and I've looked it up again. I'm not too sure if it's even CMF Festival, but those letters ring a bell. But it was a small film made by. It starts off with pictures of aeroplanes going across, a cartoony aeroplane-y thing. That's all I can help you with. But I've looked it up and I couldn't find it.
Well, there was something that I saw that was supported by the British Film Institute. I'm just trying to look that up, by Carolyn Katz. And it was kind of so it was written and directed by Carolyn Katz, and it was based on the sort of the lost tapes of Delia.
May have been that, yeah.
And she sort of played Delia in it, so it was kind of like a dramatized version, I suppose. But it was very trippy and weird, and it had what's her name from Throbbing Gristle, Cozy Fanny Tutti. That's right. She was reworking some of the samples of these old tapes through her modular system as the background sound, and she was also kind of in it at the same time. So it was weird and yet wonderful, and it had all of these thoughts, and of course that history that you have through the radiophonic workshop, which is just mind-blowing. And then how weird her life went. She just completely did other things.
Wow. So she partied apparently.
She did. Yeah. No, there was a lot of that going on.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So fascinating.
Well, I mean, that side of it. Why not? Because obviously she was ahead of her time, and she was one of the heads, wasn't she? So too right that was going to happen. Amazing to wonder what she would have done if she'd have been born today or 20 years ago. I'm sure she would have been. You'd have been interviewing her instead of me, I'm sure.
Yeah, much rather.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, fair enough. All right.
Well, just so we know where we are, Well, I thought just before we go too much further, let's just have a quick blast of one of your tracks from the Utopia Strong, just to give people a flavour. This is from the debut album. Is that the first one? Is there more than that now? I mean, there's one coming up, but is this the only one at the minute?
The track you're going to play is from our studio album that was we were signed to Rocket Recordings. We've had 3 private presses during lockdown, which have been of sort of live performances and rehearsals. But the proper studio album is the only one. We're working on the second one as we speak, but it's been difficult.
Yes. All right, let me try to make this work. Bear with me. Da, 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 da. See? Hang on, let me turn that off. Oh, there we go. Smooth that. Do you see the way I mixed that in?
I lost the sound a bit there. Maybe I don't know why I did, but maybe I see that I did spot while I was watching that Hell Riders was the next track up, whatever that was. I don't know. I saw that in the bottom right hand corner.
Oh yeah,
Hell Riders. Hell Riders sounds good as well.
I don't know what that is, but I mean, there we go. There's a bit of your music. It's I'd like to tell my Steve Davis story now, if that's okay.
Oh great! Oh dear, is it good or bad?
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's slightly embarrassing for me because I mean this is just about how we first connected with each other.
Oh no, yeah.
And this was because the story's kind of funny and makes me out to be a bit stupid, which is fine, and I don't mind that, you see, for comedy reasons. So anyway, right, I got a message from someone calling himself Steve Davis on Patreon. You know, a new patron popped up, and I would go, "Oh, all right, cheers, thanks very much," and then he. As I do, you know, because I have so many of them coming through. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. And then you got back in touch and you said, "Oh, yeah, is it all right if I send you a couple of tracks?" And I went, "Yeah, sure, yeah, no, whatever." Not clocking at all anything other than you were just another punter, which is really nice to get support from. That's fantastic. But you know, people send me their tracks all the time, and mostly I kind of ignore it because it's like I don't have time to listen to everybody's music. I'm sorry, love to, but anyway, got to move on. But because this is via Patreon, I thought, yeah, all right, I'll give that a listen. But I left it a few days because it didn't seem important. Do you know what I mean? And then I came back like sort of 4 or 5 days later and went, oh, I must listen to this stuff. Clicked on the link and went and sat there for a bit going, this is really good. I wasn't expecting that. Wow, so I sort of like I followed the link through and Utopia Strong, that's an odd name. And so I stuck that in Google and looked that up. And I'm sitting there looking at it going, that's Steve Davis. And then I went back to Patreon and it says Steve Davis. And I'm going, and it's weird because in the back of my mind I'm thinking, because I remember seeing you in Electronic Sound magazine like the year before or something.
Yeah. And
clocking that and going, oh, that's interesting, you know, good on him kind of thing. I wonder what that's like. And it was just this sort of this creeping sense that there's something that there's a piece of information that you're missing, as in my brain could not connect with the idea that you were you sending me this music and saying hi, you know, that just seemed to be the most bizarre thing in the world. So I was like straight back in there, oh, hi, Steve, try to be as calm as possible. Oh, it's really good to hear from you. Gosh, that's really nice. And then, you know, our conversation has developed from there. So it's just one of those weird things because one does not expect a Steve Davis to pop up in your chat, you know. And then that's the other thing. I noticed you in some of my live stream chats as well, which is just like, I mean, I don't know if you get that all the time, but for the rest of it, particularly someone like myself who grew up in the 80s, you know, you're a household name. You know, even my mum's probably watching tonight because because you're the first person that she's heard of that I'm talking to.
If your mum's watching, we won't mention that your other well-known fan is Peter North.
Yeah, no, let's
not go there. No. Well, that's a weird thing. But then it's good to be where the roles are reversed. As much as I feel, you know, a lot of people say to me that because they've been on the telly a lot, that they feel like they know you a bit. And you understand that's how it works. But of course, I've watched far more of you in the last year than you've ever watched of me in your whole life. So I feel like I know you. So roles reversed, and you know, I'm the fan, and you're the hit. You know, you're the. It's great, and I like the fact the roles reversed like that. But there's no.
That's bizarre.
There's no reason to. Why not? Because you're an expert in your field, and I'm a punter, and that makes total sense. You know, you're the influencer, as I told Gaz, he didn't like it, that Gaz Williams was the influencer, and you know, and so, you know, so every time you do a great review, yeah, and the same for Milo Melodies. It cost me a fortune, Alex. Cost me a total fortune, and you said, I mean, you know, so obviously. I'm going to kick whatever sequencer I've got that's similar to the one that you've just reviewed, the Erica Black sequence. No, I'm going to have to buy it, right? And I understand it. I know how it works, you know, and I'm not, you know, and the people that think, you know, that it's a wrong thing is totally missing the point. It's wonderful, you know, the fact that you're being able to do this, and but now I've got to get it because it's better than the one that I've got in the similar vein, which is the Winter Eloquencer, which is eight channels, and it's 16. Yeah, and it's good, but it's more of a faff programming. So now I've got.
See what?
So now
that's
I've got to buy
interesting.
that because of you. I've got to buy it. You know?
No, I understand that. See, that's interesting. The Eloquencer, because somebody else in the comments to my review of the Black Sequencer was saying, no, mate, I've got an Eloquencer, and it's far, far better. So it's interesting that you say that, because I mean, certainly the Eloquencer is a coveted piece of modular. I think it's beautiful to look at. You see it in elegant setups and people who know what they're doing, and it's sitting there and it's glowing. There's little dots and things going on. It looks lovely. I've never touched one or played with one, but I just assumed that it's very, very clever. So it's interesting to hear you say that you struggle with it a little bit.
The difference, I think, is you can't get a tune out of it as quickly. You've got to program it a bit more. It's a button press, and then you've got to press the button down on the actual on the trick on that particular note or that particular trigger. That's the right word, yeah. Gate, and then turn the dial to dial in the note, and then go to the next note and turn and change the note. And it's more laborious. It is clever, and it's got all of the randomness. You can the gate. Everything's got the randoms all over the place. So it's not got modulation like that. So the Black Eloquencer takes it to another level. But it's not as immediate. It's not as playable. My favourite sequence. I'm going off the subject matter we're talking about now. But my favourite sequences have been in the past the slider ones, because I think they're the most immediate. So I have got. I'm in the process of getting the Klee sequencer, the Klee KLEE. It's from SynthCube. It's about 105 HP. Right, it's perfect for a.
I know that. Yeah,
doesn't fit in. But it's a slider thing, and it's like that.
Yeah.
That for me is what it's, and you can just change things quickly. So. Even though the Erica Black sequence has got a lot more functionality below the hood, when you did your demo, you went, okay, we're gonna make a track. You randomly turned a load of knobs, and the sound that came out by accident was brilliant. Just to start with, you couldn't have improved.
There's no accidents. How dare you?
There's no way. You randomly. I saw you randomly turning them. There's no way you could have. There was no little marks you had on the. So that I thought, wow, just for that one reason, it's so playable that you can. And if you don't like a note, you can just turn it again. Whereas if you don't like a note on the Winter Eloquencer, press the button, turn it, go to the next, press the button. It's a lot more laborious, and so that's why the Korg SQ1 for me appeals, because it's relatively simple, even though they're not sliders.
Yes.
So that's my bag in that respect. But but anyway, I'm apparently well known on the telly. But this world, I just want to be a punter. It's great.
Well, that's nice, I think. But no, I mean, I'm totally with you on sequencers. I like it out in front of me. I like it straightforward. I've had a few where you have to hold a button and turn things. Well, I mean, funny enough, the Korg, the SQ64 that I reviewed
the new
recently,
one.
Yeah, it is very like that. You press a pad. I mean, it's got lots of lovely pads on it, lots of buttons, and it works well. But it's still having to decide which note it is and then turn a thing, as opposed to just you can explore with the Black Sequencer, and that's really nice. I like that, and I can sympathise with trying to see a bunch of sliders and their light going along. Yes, I like to see where we are. That's a definite appeal.
Not trying to stop manufacturers from selling new equipment, but there's no way I'm trading in my two SQ1s for the new Korg. It's not my bag. I know it can be, obviously it is for some people, but it's obviously far cleverer. But I just want simple. My biggest problem is my intelligence is not in this world, so I need simple things.
Yeah.
I'm really clever. Obviously I was pretty clever at getting a ball in a hole, and my skill set has been understanding how to get my body in the right shape to knock the ball in the hole, and how to deal with all of those problems. And when it comes to this world, I am so far behind the curve. And I love DivKid's all of his output, but it goes mostly over my head. It's too complicated for me. I can't. He loses me too quickly, even though I love it all, and I love the Feeding the Monster stuff, and I love all of the interviews. But he's so clever. I feel like I'm lost. So I quite like, I like this. I like this more stupid ones. They're great.
Yeah, well, that's why I appeal to you, I think, because I mean, definitely. I mean, DivKid was one of the first people I met in Modular, and I got the impression early on that there's room underneath all of that, because as you say, he's a clever fella. He knows what he's talking about, and I've learned an awful lot listening to him.
Yeah,
but you need, it's such a step up. It's quite a leap to get into the language and the concepts that he's talking about, and so there's tons of room underneath that for people like myself to talk to fellow idiots, about, it's a bit wobbly, isn't it? And it goes in here, and look, listen to this. That's more of my approach. Yeah.
5 years down the line, I'll be going, you were rubbish and DivKid was wonderful. And now I appreciate this. Now I've peeled back the levels, the onion skins, and I've now found the next level. I mean, you were a waste of time, and DivKid is a god. Yeah, I can see it happening.
And I'll be a caricature of myself, pretending to be stupid, because that's my shtick.
You'll have moved into your own Fashion Rangers shirts and and not waterboarding. Not waterboarding. No, is it waterboarding? No, that's not waterboarding.
Paddleboarding.
Paddleboarding is close to waterboarding. Same problem. Yeah. But so that's my I've enjoyed, and I'm sure the people in the chat room, and apologies I can't see the chat room because I'm not sophisticated enough to have this open and YouTube and the chat. It's just beyond me. But I think everybody, I assume that you've got a range of people who are not saying they're all like me, but you're going to have people like me who are absolute fans, who want information but love the community side of it and love the snippets, and are basically just drooling over stuff, and they can make music, and I'm exactly in that situation. So the patrons thing was great, and I'm not sure about Discord thing.
No, me neither.
Nah,
me neither. But
yeah, and I love the words. I love the terminology that's used. It's great, and I like when you're interviewing people, when they come up with the word workflow. That's my favourite word. I haven't got a clue what it means, but it sounds great when you say my work doesn't suit my workflow.
I like to drop that in if I can. Yeah. There's several. I mean, often I find myself just in strings of adjectives, because they sound nice or they trip off the tongue. You're just trying to, trying to express something in the same language all the time in the same way. It gets quite tricky as a reviewer, trying to find a new way to talk about something. But workflow's a good one. I like that. I kind of see that as what do I see it as? I don't know, getting from the beginning to the end.
Right. I'm going to use it commentating on the World Snooker Championship in April. Yes. I'm going to use it. I'm going to get it into commentary. It's going to be fantastic.
You have to whisper in, it's got a nice workflow.
Perfect. I probably have had one in the past, but that's... Yes, I saw a recent interview with Surgeon, obviously about workflow as well. It's quite a good thing that's recently come up on the Electronic Beats or something. Electronic Beats, yes. Yeah, that's sort of about his workflow.
Okay.
But he's proper, so,
I mean, we talked about this a little bit before we came on, which is the whole issue of a keyboard and modular, because you say you're not a player as such, and so your approach to modular is, or rather, one of the things that is very enabling about modular is the fact that you don't need to be a player. You can just explore the sound within that environment without having to know any of the notes.
Yes, and you don't necessarily need to have any music theory, although I understood from watching a DivKid thing from a few years back now that he would feel it is important, and I can understand that. Although I also saw a video on I Dream of Wires where they interviewed Clark, who says he thinks it gets in the way. So there's different views there. But for me, I have no choice. I'm not going to try and learn to play the piano. That's it's too late. And I've tried once before, and it was never going anywhere. And so when I stumbled upon the first person I ever saw playing a modular synth, which was Mike Bourne from Teeth of the Sea. He was playing in his outfit called Hervé Clarari at Cafe Otto back in 2015. I watched this guy playing this box with wires, and I was transfixed, thinking, I don't know what's going on, but I can see he's doing something, and it's not a laptop, and this looks this looks fascinating. So I went up, what is it? You know, and I know it's been around for years, but it's perhaps the fact it was smaller, I don't know. But and then from then on, I've got to have one, which is part of, you know, you've got to have one thing. But I just was, my interest was piqued enough that I thought this might be the thing that can, you, at the very least, you can get a great deal of entertainment with at home that can, in many ways, be more entertaining than putting on a record of electronic music, because there is nothing quite like making a patch up, a repetitive patch, obviously, and you've got to like repetitive music, but then obviously most people here do, and sitting back and listening to what you've done and then letting it float over you to the point where it becomes hypnotic, and it is more entertaining, or as entertaining as listening to Terry Riley or Steve Reich or you know, Caterina Barbieri or whoever you want to choose, because you've done it, even if it's by bloody accident, you know. So the amount of entertainment I've had, currently I've got no wires in, like taking them all out like you. The amount of entertainment I've had, and I would encourage anybody that's new to it, just jump in the deep end. And I know it's a bit of a money pit, you know, but there's better ways. You know, there's other ways. You know, jump in and see. You might enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and I would agree. And I don't think you have the same experience using a laptop necessarily. I mean, the thing with computer versus Eurorack is that with the computer you have the ability to completely go from initial spark to finished album, but that is so distracting, so enormous, so overwhelming that you kind of feel you have to be producing an entire song or entire finished track all the time. You'd very rarely sit down with just a small piece of music rotating around which you then explore. You know, it's kind of like using an arpeggiator on a synthesizer. You just put down some stuff, hit hold, and then just play with the sound. And that's very much the feel of Eurorack, except that it's a lot more open and you can go down multiple pathways of adventure. You know.
Yeah, I initially tried to do this, doing it inside the box, when I stumbled upon the music of a gentleman called Christopher Reeves, who goes under the name The Gas Man.
Okay. Oh, I might have lost you for a moment or two. I'm just going to pause for a second. You're frozen on my screen there, Steve, which is a shame. I'm going to see whether that brings itself back in or not. Otherwise, we'll just have to look at your face. Thankfully, you're frozen in not too bad a position. I've seen worse, which is a thing. But okay, just gonna hang out here for the moment and see if we can bring you back in. I don't think there's anything at my end. I think YouTube is still functioning. Yes, hello everybody out there. Thanks for sticking with us. Got any questions you want to line up in the chat while we're waiting for Steve to reconnect with us? That would be super. Let us know. Good to see you. Yeah. Oh no, he's gone. Right, I'm gonna see whether he comes back in a second. What I could do, I could put some music back on. How about I do that rather than you staring here while I wait to see if I can get Steve back. All right, hang on a sec. I'm going to put on the other track that I've got here, I think. Is it this one? Which kind of shows them in action. This is taken from them actually playing stuff together. And so it gives a bit more of a flavour of what they look like as a band. So I'm just going to skiddle that over.
Hello, hello.
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 I've got your sound.
Hello, hello.
And there's the video.
Oh God, what a nightmare! I think my software had automatically gone to 5G. Don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I think we're back in. We're back in this, as they would say. Not that one. Okay, we seem to be. We think we're back. We're back. So there was a little interlude of real instruments being played and guitars and stuff. I mean, that's fascinating. Although I have to ask about what are all those banana plugs about? What's the banana plugs about, man?
Oh, Mike York plays. Mike York plays. Has got a Phoenix 2. Phoenix, you know the people. They did the.
This is not rocket science. Yes.
Yeah, they've taken over the Phoenix 4. I think they're putting it out at some stage. So yes. Mike's got a Phoenix 2, which is quite a valuable instrument now, and he's that's banana cables. I'm proud of the fact I've got a lot of Bug brand stuff. Yeah, that's banana cables.
Oh, is it?
I'm not taking it on stage yet.
Is that the little those wooden things?
No, they're blue. I could get the stuff. I've got to walk away. I daren't walk away and leave my 4G connection. I've got to say, can I have a little moan up before we go any further, right?
Of course.
So I got to moan about the UK in general. I'm not going to moan about the normal things that everybody's moaning about. I'm moan about the fact that this country is obviously a second world country now, as much as the internet connection. I mean, I live within the M25 ring, and I can't get a decent broadband signal. I think I get 1.6 megabytes if I went landline, so I have to go 4G. And that's my system. And it's just I hate the fact that we are so behind. I hate the fact that I've just recently tried to upgrade to Apple OS Mojave to try and make my pages and and it's messed up my Logic 9, and now I'm in all sorts of trouble. Why can't they make things simple? No. I was about to use my SLR camera to talk to you tonight, and I bought a dummy battery that doesn't bloody work from Amazon. I'm not blaming Amazon; it just doesn't work. And I also moan about influences costing me a lot of money, but I've already mentioned the fact that you're going to cost me a load of money, and already have done with some of the other things. Yeah, and the fact that then the influencers who rave over a particular model, then all of a sudden a month later have taken it out of their rack, saying, "Hey, I've got something better," and I've just invested in it. I was about to get the Vermona, whatever it was that you had, and then all of a sudden next to me is no. I may have bought a 2 HP pluck, and the next minute is I've had to buy a Surface. I'm just following you. We're like sheep to the slaughter, lambs to the slaughter.
Oh, I see. You're pulling at the curtain now. Yeah, you're pulling at the curtain.
It's the fact that I went offline. It's upset me. I can't even say I went to the toilet.
You do a good grumpy old man. Vibe. That's all right. We're happy with that. It is interesting. I mean, me and Travasi were talking about this actually off air yesterday about the problem of being a reviewer. I mean, it's a nice problem to have, is that you have too much gear, I suppose. But the problem being is you get something for an intensely short period of time that you then pour yourself into in order to understand to a degree enough to be able to demonstrate it or to review it. But then actually you have to move on to the next thing, and you never really get the time to properly embed with it, to properly for it to become part of your set, and it ends up being a peripheral module. And you're right, you sat there and said, well, this is a great module, I would use it, except I don't have the time to really use it. I need to move on to the next thing and talk about how great that is. So I am aware, I think, of how that seems odd. I guess I'm aware that your comments, I think, are right on the money. That can be an issue, because it does appear that one moment I'm raving about this thing, and the next thing I'm selling it on, or not selling it on, having to give it back is more common. But it's a quandary as a reviewer, because it's sort of my job to do that. But also it can get a bit defeating, and I think the best way through it is just to remind yourself that this is part of your job, and to remind yourself to schedule in a period of time every now and again where you're just being creative. Otherwise you lose all sense of actually making music, and you're just ending up talking about it all the time, and you need to spend time making it. I think that's vital, and scheduling that in is the only way I enable myself to do it.
Yeah. And the other thing from your perspective, it's not your fault if somebody like myself comes along and starts to want to buy things just on the strength of that, and then doesn't know how to use them or doesn't get the best out of them. Yeah, because I'm sure everybody to some degree is, in the sledgehammer to crack a walnut department of never being able to use the full percentage of a module's capability. And God knows what percentage I use of all of them. It's, I'd be happy with 5% of the magneto or the panharmonica, but even if it's just one thing it does. So even though the Erica Black sequencer is very, it seems like it's got a little bit more menu diving than I'd like, the 5% of just looks good enough to me that's okay, I'll get that. Okay, it's my own fault if I don't use it well enough, and if I don't immerse myself in. So you don't beat yourself up too much. Not really your fault. You are still providing a wonderful service.
Oh, cool, thank you.
Have you sold?
Yeah, go.
Have you sold? Did you get rid of the Vermona?
Random rhythm?
What's it? Yeah, the random rhythm. Or no. Have you got it and it's been demoted to, or is it in there?
I think it might be in a box. I am awaiting another case.
Is that
would you believe?
Cardboard box.
Yeah, it's just awful. Just a box over there, cardboard box. I've got like a bunch of modules in. It's just awful. I hate it. But so I have yet another case coming soon, which hopefully I'll be able to then have everything out so that everything has a potential to be used. There's that other sort of slight conundrum as well, being a reviewer, that if a company's given you a module and has not asked for it back, then sort of selling it on seems somehow wrong. There seems to be a bit of a line that you might cross. So I kind of feel that I keep hold of these things, and I might come back to it another time, and that's a good thing. It's like I've held on to some other bits, and a manufacturer's come back to me and said, "Oh, would you mind doing the firmware update and doing a video on that?" And it's like, good job I didn't move that one on then, didn't it? So yeah, it's best to do that, I think. So I'd like to have everything out. Yeah, there are some perks. Without any doubt.
Yeah. I've stumbled upon, I'm sure many people have, a wonderful, not too sure if ambient artist is the right term, but I suppose he isn't. Guy from Amsterdam, I think, or Holland anyway, called Little Ambient Machine. Ambient Machines, I think. And I've got all his stuff. I bought it all on Bandcamp. Wonderful, wonderful music, and he makes really. If you haven't heard him, then you'd love it. You'd absolutely love it, and I'd love to pick his brains how he makes stuff. But along the way, I stumbled upon. I might have contacted you about the fact that I stumbled upon the Melodicer, which was mentioned yesterday by Travasi, which is similar to your stochastic. It's the same thing, I think, roughly. And I got hold of one. And I spotted the fact that Little Ambient Machine had got hold of one as well. I was like, oh, God, must be in the right lines here. He's brilliant, and I've got one of these things as well, as if I was ever going to use it to his level. But so I saw a recent post on Twitter or wherever it is. And somebody said, "Oh, how are you getting on with your Melodice?" He said, "Oh, I'm booting that out for an Erica Black sequencer." So oh, great. So it just keeps turning.
Yeah, but you need to be confident in your choices, I suppose. Somebody's actually asked a question in the chat, which they're poking me about, which is, which module have you owned the longest, and do you still use it?
Funnily enough, yeah. So, and it's an interesting one without using a well-oiled word. The Tone Star 2006 2600.
Studio Electronics.
Yeah, the whole voice thing.
Wow.
And it was fascinating because how I got in. The first thing that happened was when I got into listening to when I started to get something, I ended up eventually getting a 6U rack of modules and Matt Tech Modular, Matt up in Manchester.
Yes.
supplied it all. So the first thing he said to me was like, yeah, with the right thing, what do you intend to do with it? I went, I don't know. Sell me something. I'm the perfect punter. I want a box full of stuff, man. So he put together he had the responsibility of trying to put together a whole box of stuff for somebody who didn't know what they wanted to do with it. And he must have wondered how do you do that? Anyway, looking back on it, he did a fantastic job of supplying it. But the voice, or one of the voices, was the tone star. And that got me off to, whilst it's now, I think it's my favorite module because it was the first time round thing. But what it did do was it did inhibit to some degree my learning curve, because I didn't understand, and I was so thick at that time, I didn't understand the relationship between the VCF and the VCA and the ADSR, because it's all in, it's all under the, it's hard, there, it's so it is brilliant, and I think it's a clone of, is it, I don't know, I'm gonna talk rubbish now. Juno, is it maybe? I don't know. It's a
they do different ones. They sort of have interchangeable filters and bits and pieces in them, so you can get it to fit.
I've got the non-colourful one of the two. But anyway, it's been my friend in as much as, especially when we played live, it's really been my friend. And whilst other modules have come that seem cleverer, and that I'd say that's my favourite one. Now, I know you're in the process, or have done, of building a similar single voice, all-encompassing thing that I think is slightly less HP than the Tone Star.
Yeah,
but
I got that here.
They're great. They're great. They're great ideas, I think. So they're great. Yeah, that's it. I love those. The Thaco, the Merleys are doing well, aren't they? You have to screw them in harder to get them out. You have to screw them in harder. You have to go all the way in to get. Otherwise, they don't. That's it. Yeah.
That's the fella. That was hard work. That was. It's like a 2.5-hour video, even with the time-lapse resistors.
Tell me about it. I watched every minute.
It took me a long time, and it was a little bit frustrating in places. And there's a lot of stuff. You got 2 layers of stuff and different things. I couldn't get it to work. It was one of those. It ended up, I had to keep putting it to one side. Yeah, I did a lot. So did I start this one in a live stream? No, I don't think I did. But it was shortly after my modular DIY week, that I thought I'll tackle this. And so I got started it, happy as Larry going through it, and then I just got stuck at the end. And I just had to put it to one side, and it took a couple of months before I could go back to it again. But it's a sweet sounding synthesizer. But you're right, it's like starting off modular with a semi-modular, because you don't really understand how, as you say, how the VCAs and envelopes relate to each other until you have to patch it together. It's only at that point that you just go, well, at least I did.
that was my so that's in a way. Even though it was a wonderful choice, because it really sort of, it does sort of, even though it's quite a large HP, the Tone Star, it's if you look at all the component parts, it's not that bad. Was it? What's the word they use? Other than the real estate. Real estate. Another fantastic word. So
that's a bit American, though, isn't it? I suppose. What would we talk about? We talk about a cul-de-sac.
Super real estate. It slowed my learning curve down, because I didn't understand the relationship between the things, and I was so new to everything. I wasn't aware of all of these things, so it really took a little bit longer. It's my own fault for not investigating more. But just to show you how much money you've cost me, okay?
What's that? What are you trying to show me? 4MS.
That.
Oh dear.
That, look.
Oh, there's more of it.
Yeah.
There's another one. The Perkle, though, that's good. The Perkle, I enjoy that.
You personally.
I enjoy a good Perkle. That's a real top module. I've had a lot of fun out of that.
I've got to dive. Yeah. I've got to dive in.
How is your soldering? How are your soldering skills?
So I need to. I'm a little bit sort of. Sometimes I get paralyzed. Sort of like can't jump in. It's a big problem for jumping in the deep end. But I did go down to the other two places. Are the one, as everybody was aware of, the two other great modular places in the UK that that have real estate, so to speak, are Signal Sounds in Glasgow.
Yes.
They've got their own place now, and obviously, excuse me, Elevator Sound down in Bristol. And I spent loads of time down in Bristol. My girlfriend partner comes from Bristol, so I spent loads of time there. Spent loads of time with everybody down there. And apart from being involved in Bristronica and loving it, and thinking that was going to become, I think, probably would have become the new super booth of the UK. I think it would have gone from strength to strength. Not saying there aren't other great modular meets, because there are, but I think that probably was going to get bigger. I felt it was probably going to. But anyway. What's happened at Elevator Sound is upstairs, a guy called Jack has opened up a DIY place called Beep Boop. And I went along there for the day and learned. And it was great. He taught me so much stuff. If you're in the Bristol area and you get the chance, go along. You can have like his group sessions, although at the moment he's not doing group sessions because of whatever. There's something else happening in the world. But you can do a one-on-one, I believe. I'm not too sure where we're up to with that. But even so, he taught me in a very short space of time. I learned a lot more about electronics than I ever thought I would do, and then had the rest of the afternoon soldering and making a mult and an attenuator, and walked away for the day in my hands with something I'd made. So if you're in the Bristol, go. So I can do it, and my soldering's okay. And I put enough solder on, but not too much. I've yet to use my sucker as yet, but then I've really got to jump in the deep end. But obviously the surface mount stuff. Oh God.
Oh wow.
Don't know. I'll settle for the through hole first and see how it goes.
Well, if you've never used a solder sucker, that means it must be going all right, because they only really come out when it's all gone a bit Pete Tong. It's all gone completely down the tubes, and it's just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Just licking this stuff out and jamming it out there, and more stuff, trying to get that out. One of my kids, actually, Alfie, my oldest, he got it into his head that he wanted to replace the keys on his keyboard for his computer, because he's a bit of a gamer, and there was these keys. So I got him this quite nice mechanical keyboard for Christmas last or something, can't remember when, and he wanted to upgrade the keys on them to give them a slightly better touch. All right, okay, so he did. He spent some of his pocket money on this key set turned up, and I hadn't looked at it at all. I just let him go on with it. And then he said, so can we put these in? I said, yeah, sure. He says, well, I need to solder them. Like, what? So what we had to do, we had to take this keyboard apart and desolder every key on the keyboard first. And so we definitely got the hang of the solder sucker on that one.
You got your value. You got your value.
Yeah. So we know how to use that now.
Prior to jumping in the deep end and deciding to try and make one, I decided I wanted a music thing radio.
Yes.
But obviously with no thought of even trying to make it myself. I tried to put upon. I'd like to thank Steve at Thonk and Tom Whitwell for actually taking pity upon me and getting somebody to make one, which was really nice. It was really nice of them. And so then
they're nice guys.
Yeah, and subsequently I've bought from Thonk and stuff as well, so that's great. But that world's another world. I know it's a little bit like Lego. You don't necessarily have to know you don't have to know too much about electronics, but I still like the fact of it's nice if you've made something that's in your rack that you actually made it. You probably got more of a bonding experience with it.
You do. I also like the fact that you talked about, because you went to a workshop, essentially, you got the opportunity to be told a little bit more about what's going on, because I've sort of fumbled my way through it myself. And so the thing that I think is lacking in what I've done so far is I haven't really learnt what these circuits do. I'm putting it together, following the instructions and having a lovely time doing all of that, but it hasn't really particularly grown my knowledge of schematics or circuits. A little bit I'm starting to get the hang of things, starting to recognize things perhaps, but I haven't really learnt anything new about electronics. I'm just putting together a kit, and I would like to, but I think I'll require input from someone in order to make that happen.
You just need look. You just need to hang out with Look Mum No Computer for another week.
Wow,
And
God,
then,
I learned so
I know.
much in that session. That was amazing.
I was really upset that he went, oh, have you got a whatever resistor? And you went, no. And you went, oh, I'll put one of those in. That'll be all right. I was like,
I know.
where's the mystery? All the mystery's gone. Whatever you put, whatever you like in, it'll be all right.
I know. I thought it was supposed to be,
I know.
precise and specific and measured and stuff. And he's like, no, anything will do.
Yeah,
he's amazing, that kid.
it.
Yeah, I mean, he's what, only he's only like 17. No, he's a bit older than that. But yeah, he appears to be some young chap who just knows all this stuff. He's brilliant.
Have you seen him perform? Have you seen him? I saw him down at Rough Trade in Bristol doing a performance during a festival. He's bloody brilliant.
Yeah,
much entertaining, so much fun. Yeah, he really, and he of course he pretends he doesn't know what he's doing. Of course he does. He's great, and he's got a keyboard with like a couple of keys missing that makes it look like he's just mad professor, but he's a brilliant artist. Fantastic. Yeah. So my only this is also another favourite module. Although I've stumbled upon something that the Turing machine.
Yes.
Obviously a wonderful module, but I want the next level Turing machine, which is something I thought the Turing machine did, but it doesn't.
Right.
Which is, you can't choose the sequence and then lock it. I thought you heard a sequence and then you locked it, but you can't. So I want the next level Turing machine. I want where you listen to you set it at 12 o'clock. You listen to the set and then you immediately lock it, and it's the same sequence as it was, but it changed. You can't do it. There you go.
Can you not? I thought you could. Does it?
No, it doesn't. Not in my unless I've got mine's wrong. So what happens is it's near, but it's not. It doesn't. Yeah. And I don't know if it's about you can't do it quick enough.
It might be that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's certainly the idea is that you do that, but I never use it for that anyway. As in, I'm never looking to lock it. I let it play. I usually, in fact, I tend to restrict it with a quantizer, so I force it into 3 or 4 notes rather than just let it do any old rubbish. But then it's the rhythm and the arrangement of those notes that the Turing machine is then looking after. So,
well, of course, yeah. Of course, what you can do, you turn it to 5 o'clock and then see if you like it, and if you don't, you can slightly adjust it. But I wonder if I don't know, but I don't understand that world. But Beat Bloop said he'd ask Tom for me. There you go.
Well, what you see,
first turn names with these people. No.
Yeah, what you do, you stick it into a sampler and hold. No, or you sample it. There you go. There's the answer. You stick it into a sampler or something and have that loop it. So that records, or a CV recorder, that records the notes coming out, and you loop that. Maybe that. I mean, there's an opportunity there to buy at least 3 more modules in order to achieve that one thing.
What was that again? Oh, I've got a piece of paper. I just as a reminder. Hold on, down.
Oh, that's lovely. Happy birthday, Robert.
Robert Wyatt, happy birthday. What an artist. Anyway. Yeah, so how much time do you then get to listen to stuff? I know you come from a folk world, but you're now you originally, I believe, is that right?
I've been in several worlds, but yes, I definitely had a folk period. Okay,
so you're now in an electronic period?
I suppose so. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm in an electronic period / nostalgia period. As ever, I'm forever picking up. Like I bought B-52's Cosmic Thing recently on vinyl, so I'm very slowly, beefing out all the songs I used to love back in the day, gradually picking them up on vinyl these days. Assuming it's not going to kill me, of course, with all the toxicity that we learnt from Ben Jordan, but. So I've got a lot of nostalgia going on, which is inevitable with someone of my age, I reckon. But so with electronic music, it's difficult. I've never been able to step deeply in enough, because during the 90s, during the whole rave scene, that was when I had my folk period. So everyone that I lived with in the houses I lived with in London were out all night partying off their heads on stuff, while I was, trying to find the intricacies of the hurdy-gurdy and I was hanging out with the local Morris dancers, and that was my bag, man. That was what I was into.
Brilliant.
So I kind of missed the whole underworld and orbital thing. Although I've appreciated it since and have enjoyed the music, but I was never really embedded into that vibe. And so I come to electronic music with a lot of history, because I used to listen to it as a kid. Things like Vangelis and Jean-Michel Jarre, or bands like Sky, for heaven's sake. I was in War of the Worlds, of course, is my favourite album of all time. Jeff Wayne and those sorts of influences. But for more modern electronic music, no, it's very slapdash. I have very little actual knowledge and just stumble into things. So, I mean, for instance, the thing that's been really useful in modular music has been, I can't think, Ian Bodie. Yeah, Ian Bodie. And his label. Yeah. Those Tone and
Science. Tone and Science, yeah.
Those albums have been fantastic. I've thoroughly sort of devoured and enjoyed those very much. And and I've bought some Heimbach stuff. I've bought Look Mum No Computer. People that I've ran into and who have released stuff. I've been picking it up. I've got yours on order somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send a T-shirt as well.
Hey.
But yeah, check out Little Ambient Machines. Brilliant.
Yes.
It's only on download from Bandcamp. But so I'm sort of stumble upon an artist and then try and get everything. So I sort of got the Caterina, talk about Caterina Barbieri and then got all of her stuff, and then once I find an artist, I sort of go for it. And it may not all be good, but it's been so many great artists I've stumbled upon recently. It's been astonishing. But of course, the big problem for yourself, your good self, is, and for everybody, is what percentage of new music you listen to old music. How much time do you devote to new? Because you really should be supporting new artists.
Absolutely.
But then you can't just listen to a one album once and then move on to another fresh artist. You've got to enjoy it and live with it. So what percentage of time, apart from the rest of your life, what percentage of time do you spend when you've got the chance to sit down and put a record on or a CD or whatever? What percentage do you reckon is listening to new music as opposed to nostalgic old music?
I would say.
How far are you living in the past?
Yeah, I would say I'm probably 60-70% in the past. I would say. But then, I mean, it's also influenced by my kids now. I mean, I've managed to kind of steer them away from Radio 1-esque, I suppose, music, which is probably wrong, because that's probably where everything is happening, and I'm making them really square. So my middle boy, Arthur, he's really into Bowie at the moment. So we're constant David Bowie after album after track, which is brilliant. We spent 6 months listening to nothing but Queen. I mean, I consider this to be cultural capital, for the kids, something that they will remember and absorb, and hopefully will set them in good stead when they start developing their own tastes and stuff. But so for more recent stuff, I picked up Faithless's album, for instance, recently, which is really good. Really very good. And I find that quite inspiring, in as much as she plays big keyboards. It's not necessarily the intricacy of Eurorack and that kind of thing. She plays quite big synth sounds, but the songwriting is excellent, and the way that I find that very inspirational, because I find crafting an actual track that's going to travel over 5-6 minutes, I find that quite difficult. So I found that to be. But
what percentage would you then, when you weren't working on this role, what percentage would, if you're listening, would you make music with your modular, or would you gravitate first to the record player? Would you gravitate first to the modular? It's a tough one, because
that's a good question. I mean, it really does depend. I tend to have to schedule in time to create, to enjoy the modular for that, for creating actual music that I'm enjoying myself, as opposed to working on something I have to review or trying to learn something. So I tend to have to make that happen, and having a deadline or something I've got to create for it, I find that enormously helpful. So, for instance, there's this party thing on Saturday, this Southern California Modular Madness night. I had to do a track for that, and it was brilliant because it took like 3 or 4 days of solid working on the modular, and it was brilliant. I loved it. I mean, it was frustrating, so I'd get to the end of that first day and I'd record a take, and then I'd sit down editing it down thinking, oh yes, it's fine, just editing it out to make it the right sort of length, and then go, no, this is terrible, I don't like it, then going back and doing it again. And I did that 3 or 4 times until I was happy. So I'm going back to the house, I'm having a coffee with my wife, and I'm just going, I don't think it's right, And she says, oh, go on, off you go. And I go back and massage it a bit more, and it's brilliant. It is totally absorbing. It's not a puzzle that I'm trying to solve. I don't think it's not really that. It's more of a, that there's a song in there, there's a track in there, in that relationship between you and the way you're manipulating this machine. There's something, and you find it, you lose it, you find it, and then you once you get hold of it, you keep trying to elevate it without screwing it up. And that seems to be my journey. But I need to make myself do it to a degree, I think. Which
how sophisticated are you then with if you were just making stuff inside the box, you'd have multiple tracks opened up. But how are you sort of less sophisticated with modular? You're just 2 tracks into recording it and playing it as live. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm doing. It's limiting, because if you mess up, if one of the voices is too loud, you're knackered.
Yeah.
So I've really got to bite the bullet and get more sophisticated, but not with my 8-year-old laptop. It's gone. I know I should buy a PC. I know I've seen all of the video. I know I've got to buy a PC, but I need more power. Anyway.
Yeah.
I've got the where is it? The thing from the company that makes it.
Oh yeah, one of those.
That can play it into the door. The one from
ES9, something like that.
Yeah, but I sort of got to use it. But that seems to be the way that you could become very sophisticated. But I don't know how easy it is. But I'm sure as being so thick, I don't know. I bet when I put it in, there's things that are just going to go, I can't do it. I know it. I know I can't do it.
At the moment,
I won't be able to set the door up.
Yeah. So at the moment, you're essentially recording to stereo as well at the moment? Is that your thing?
For my own fun. For my own fun, yeah. Oh, so I'm doing, so sad. This is me. This is a level I'm at. I'm so sad, right? So I make a patch up, and I think this is brilliant. Wow, okay, right. I'm going to record it. I record it in stereo in the door, right? Okay. Then I think, wow, right, okay, well, really what I should do is I should record each of the voices. So I then open up another track and turn everything down apart from that voice and start again and record that, and then keep on doing it until I realise then I've got 4 or 5 voices, and I've then got to line them up. I'm a snooker player turned musician, but I'm not a clever one. So I've then got to try and work out to line them up. And some of them are not easier to line up. So you get a different recording to the one you start off with. So I really have to bite the bullet and get a bit more sophisticated. Otherwise, how can I call myself a musician?
Well, I mean, I would take that with a pinch of salt. I mean, I think that, as I say, I record to stereo because, I did a video you might have seen when I was making a track, I think for the Modularism album, and I did that multi-track, and I went out through an ADAT box into my audio interface in order to keep them separate to precisely that, to give me the mixing capability and processing after the event to make it better. But that ends up being, first of all, it's complicated to set up. It's more buttons to press, and by the time you've got everything going and ready going, I can't remember what I was doing, so I find that difficult. And then there's the temptation of spending a lot of time mixing after the fact rather than moving on to the next thing. And although that would probably improve the music, maybe, I don't know whether it would by such a magnitude that's going to make me happy. I'm not sure. So I wouldn't rush necessarily, but then if you feel that you're being slightly stifled by not being able to do that, then absolutely open it up. It has to be an individual choice. But I wouldn't see it as necessary, perhaps. But I think other people would argue with that. So when you play with the band, are you just coming out of speakers? How does the recording process work in that situation?
Well, if getting back to okay, I couldn't hear myself talk. Oh, okay. So getting back to the original way into how I became this part of the band was I got my synth and was stumbling along, and then Carver's Tarabi, who I do a radio show with on a local community radio station in Brentwood called Phoenix FM that goes out online. So we were doing a weekly radio show. It's now a bi-weekly radio show where we play all types of stranger music than the normal stuff. He was encouraging me to get stuck in and make some music, so that him and Mike York, we could all mess around and have a jam together. So it happened. The end result was we expected it just to be a fun day out, night out, to just have a drink and just enjoy messing around. We listened back that evening and realised that actually it was quite good, and that we could make it into not just jams but into tracks. This was recorded on 3 tracks. We all had an in each,
right?
A mono in each, and the end result was we fashioned out of that a studio album with a few overdubs, and ended up with a really sophisticated album. It was, studio album, but it started off, we all had one in each. I didn't even mine was mono, mainly all mono, and the Phoenix was all mono, and then guitar was mono and everything. The harmonium might have been on a different, and the pipes were added on later on. But even so, that's how we started it off. And then subsequent to that, once we had this studio album, we then got it mastered by a guy from Finland called Antti Usumäki, who just the process of mixing it was astonishing for me, because I'd never been experienced to anything like that before. And watching Carver's Tarabi and Mike York mixing as well, my input as well, we were all involved, but watching them at work was fascinating. Watching 2 professionals mixing it and giving things the right space and giving them, we had enough sophistication with 3 different tracks to sort of make a storyline. And then watching, and I thought, this is brilliant. I want it to go out now as an album. This is great. Let's do it. And so there we go. No, we need it mastered. What's that? What's mastered? What are these words you keep on coming? Is that like workflow? No, it's like mastered. And then watching. We flew over Antti from Finland, and he's worked with a band called Circle, a band from Finland. Anyway, and we watched him mastering, and it was astonishing the difference between what I thought was finished mix to his mastering. He then gave everything, not just the space. He gave everything like the space in the field of he gave things started coming out of places. Right. It was just incredible what he did. We ended up thinking this has now become a sophisticated studio album on the strength of effectively a jam, and incredible how it was done. The 3 subsequent albums we put out, which have just been limited edition vinyl 250, that are downloads on Bandcamp via the Utopia Strong anyway. They are a mixture of rehearsals and live recordings that we're recording from the studio desks and that. So they are once again pretty not lo-fi, but they're not attempting to be anything other than sort of not rough or raw, but just they are as they are. One takes. But they're surprisingly good as well. They come out really well. But they're more sort of their own sort of thing than. But we're working on the second studio album, but you can't do it remotely. It's just ruined everything. It's ruined everything. And I'm sure there's loads of musicians out there. Great if you're just doing it on your own, you can do it. But once you start to collaborate, God knows how you do it.
Yeah. Now, it is hard. I mean, technology keeps trying to keep up with it and trying to make it easier all the time, but it's I don't know. It's not there. We have to think differently, I guess. But you need that. I mean, the opportunity, the difference between. I mean, I've played in bands with guitars, all my life, and playing together is just. It's a completely different feel to trying to do something collaborative. You just have to be in the room and you have to be able to play along. It gets as simple as that. Question I wanted to ask you actually, when you talk about mixing, how do you mix within your modular? What do you use for that?
Well. Fortunately, Myler Melodies sold me. He didn't sell me. He sold it to me via his demo of it.
Right.
So, I had a nice little mixer that was seen to be going along. It was a little IntelliGel little thing in the corner. Was it? Yes, I think so. Yeah, just in the corner. It took up 3 or 4 HP. Wonderful little thing. But of course, Myler did a demo of the Bifeco Hex Mix.
Oh, the Hex Mix, yes.
So, I mean, obviously, I had to have one of those and use up I don't know, as much space as London on my. But it's great because of all of the sends and returns that I didn't have a clue what it meant. What's a send and return? I thought. I didn't know what I was doing, so I contacted Alex and said, "Do us a favour, do a video explaining what the difference between pre and post send is."
Yeah.
Which very kindly, but thank you very much, Alex. He did one, and it sort of explained it all a bit now. So I've got now. I believe it takes up like 30% of the space.
Yeah, because you get 2 levels.
It's massive, yeah.
2 levels to it, aren't there?
Yeah. But it's pretty sophisticated, and of course I need it for gigging.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where? Yeah, I need it for gigging in my front living room. I've got this sophisticated hex mix, and I'm not even. It's all going down into one mono speaker. It's perfect. It's the right way to go.
In a Eurorack mixer, it gives you that opportunity to feel like a DJ, because you can touch things and then go touch off and then go whoa mutes and then
fantastic
solos and stuff like that. You feel like you're really I'm going to drop. It's going to drop. And there it goes. It feels. You feel young again, I think, playing with those sorts of things.
It's taken years off. I'm now further away from my heating allowance because of the hex mix. I've got a little bit more. I'm further away from the vaccine than I was before I got the hex mix. So it's brilliant. Yeah, and the flexibility I've now got with the hex mix is just the flexibilities of my workflow. God,
your workflow, yeah,
through the roof.
Is it?
Through the roof.
Or is it quicker? Is it does it go up, or does it stretch? As your workflow becomes more elastic? I don't know. I mean,
my workflow's become more of a learning curve. But another learning curve, sledgehammer to crack a walnut.
Yes.
What is your worst module for how far down the road of it, that you've only got to 5% of its capabilities, do you feel?
Magneto.
Yeah, same here. Wonderful, but I'm only using it for one thing. Yes. Sledgehammer to crack a walnut. They should make a module called Sledgehammer to crack a walnut.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm up to level 2 on the Magneto now, because I discovered switching between standard. I mean, is it a delay? I don't even know if it is half the time. I seem to get like 4 buses, by which I mean 4 beep beep buses turning up at once, going bing 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 bing, and then something else happens 2 minutes later, bing 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 again, and I don't know why. It's how far I'm trying to imagine it in my head. It's how far the heads are away as the tape is flowing through, I suppose, but I don't really know how to control that or how to change it or something. But anyway, I found a switch via CV which turns it from a delay into the pitch thing that it does. People in the chat are going to be going, "Who is this idiot?" But so I get it. So it does a delay thing for a while, which is nice, and then I put a very slow clock to it, so every now and again it just turns it over, and it then sort of goes all pitchy and creates these sort of shimmers of stuff. I don't know why or how. I don't really know how to control it, but when I stuff the surface into it, or if you've still got the 2 HP pluck, that kind of thing, it's just brilliant. But I have no clue as to the delay time. I don't know when it's going to come back. I just know that it sits there and occasionally it does this thing, which is usually pleasing. That's my
I mean,
magneto experience.
I'm in awe of your knowledge of it. I realise that now I'm not even at 5%. I'm at 1%. I've only just realised that 12 o'clock is one sort of half speed and like or whatever it is, and 9 o'clock's half speed, and I thought it was like from 0 to. It's not. It goes back with. I mean.
I've given up with the knob.
There's a manual. You can read the manual.
Yeah,
it says it in there. Yeah, it just.
I stick a clock in. I put in a slow clock from somewhere else because I couldn't work out what the knob is doing. I mean, I hear the effect when I turn the knob. You get the, you get the speeding up of tape and such like. But you're right. I expected to get more delay or something, and so I say sod the knob. I'm gonna stick a clock in, and that'll just time it somehow. That seemed to work for me. So.
But it's brilliant. But it's brilliant.
It is. It's a beautiful module, and it does beautiful things.
Yeah, and I've got it. Yeah, and it's one of my favourite modules, and I'm using 1% of it. It's brilliant. I love it. The only problem with that, I haven't found a good demo of that online.
No.
The Magneto do one, but it's all separate ones, and there's not really that much. It's not that helpful. It's a bit just sort of there it is, and this is what it does without giving you. I need my hand held so badly.
Yeah. Well, I've always meant to sit down and explain it. The problem is I cannot get my head around it.
Do it.
Well,
please.
I want to. I will. All right. I will. Right. All right. I
Come
will.
on.
All right then. I will then.
You can. You can do this. You can do this for my benefit.
It's on my schedule, right? It's just that I've just got a load of things I've got to get through. So, no, it's definitely on my list of things I will tackle and attempt to explain. DivKid's again is good on tape delays. He knows all about that sort of thing. He has like real things that do that. But
the other one I've the Morphogene. I'm a sucker. Right? I've got the button presses. I end up splicing things I didn't know I was splicing. I end up with a million splices and I didn't want to splice it in the first place. And I was thinking about changing it for the one you've got that you made that
sample
you couldn't work.
Slicer. Yeah,
that looked like it might be simpler.
It's fun. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a bit silly, I find, but that's. Yeah, that's good. And you feel a bit of an idiot trying to talk into it. No, you have to. You put anything into it, of course. But it's fun and simple, and it's all gone. And you're not having to worry about how is it they store things. They store things in reels, don't they? In the Morphogene, splices and reels, and
apparently.
I don't. Why can't you just call it a sampler? What's the matter with it?
I know. I tried recording stuff and recording it and copying it onto the little disc. It just didn't seem to work. I don't know. Then you've got to record it at the right rate and everything. Why can't the world be simple?
It looks nice, though. It's a very pretty module. It glows at you.
It sits next to my hex mix and takes up more space. It's wonderful instead of the simple modules I could get instead of that. But, I'm waiting for your good self to do a demo of it as well.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will.
I can't listen to Lupop's one. It's too good. He's too good. I want the one where you're stumbling upon it wrongly.
Yeah. No, I do that well.
Do that.
Lupop doesn't fail. That's his flaw.
Unbelievable.
CTB is asking in the chat whether I saw the announcement about the stochastic modules, which I showed yesterday, my stochastic generator. Yes, I saw that. In fact, I've been speaking to your man from Stochastic Instruments because they kind of, there's a new stuff afoot. It's being sort of taken on, I suppose, and done on a bit more of a speedy things. They've got a little bit backlogged, so they're working on it. Is all I'm going to say on that for the moment. So yes, I have seen that. Did speak to them about that, and that's really cool.
A bit like Pfizer. They got to pull their finger out. Got to trust Pfizer, haven't you, over the years? if you can have one, which one are you going to have? Which one do you want?
Well, I'm British, aren't I? So I want the Oxford one.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough.
No, I've no clue. I've no clue. I don't mind. Honestly, don't mind. Anything will do. I'm happy to take whatever pills and prods that is on offer. We shall see.
I'm not sure
3 months. Sorry. Andrew says he's been on the list for 3 months. 3 months. It's been 2 years. I think I was on that list.
Wow. Yeah, but you've got one.
I have,
one
yeah.
Yeah.
I have one. I was on there
So
right from the start, and it took a long time.
Surely you don't. Surely you don't care now. You're bulletproof, aren't you? A bit like once you've had the vaccine, you don't care anymore. That's going to be the problem, isn't it? You're going to walk around.
Yeah.
I
Not
don't
appreciating
care, I don't
other
care.
people's pain.
Yeah, I've got the stochastic one. Although probably give it a couple of months, you'll have knocked it out for something else, knowing that, and then we'd have all bought it, and then you'll have moved on.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sit aesthetically in with anything else that I have, and I don't know. Funny enough, that's been more annoying than I thought. I thought I'm all right. I'm relaxed and groovy. I can have all sorts of colours. I could put the Dreadbox stuff in here, and it wouldn't matter. And then I'm looking at this. Bright blue thing with all the squiggles on it. I'm thinking, well, it just doesn't look quite right in that space. But I'll get over it.
The Euclidean circles always sticks out a bit, but it's as they would obviously Euclidean circles, but it's so pretty.
It is.
I mean, it doesn't matter what, even if you can't use it, it's lovely when they're spinning round the circles. I love them.
Yeah, you see it everywhere. I mean, he did a genius job on that. To make something quite so iconic, which is then so noticeable in anybody's rack. That's brilliant. Genius.
Wonderful. And then when you're doing it live and then somebody comes up afterwards and says, "What's that?" And you go, "Oh, it's one of those." And they go, "Oh, what does that do?" You go around like that, and it's marvellous. And every now and again, it hits a blue bit or an orange bit. It's perfect. Does its job. Does its job. So what's on your agenda? What have we got to look forward to? I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I don't feel it's like that. So what have we got to look forward to? And I would say, on behalf of all of your subscribers and your Patreon subscribers, and also all the people that tune in retrospectively, your workload, I bow to your workload. You have, especially over this period of time, you've absolutely caned it, which is brilliant. I think it's great for the fans. No, it's brilliant because it takes a lot of dedication. But, are you going to slow down or is it because it's locked down? What's the point?
Yeah, well, I mean, my video output hasn't been as great as I would like it to be, I have to say, over sort of December and now the end of January. Because I've just had a lot of writing to do. I've had actually a sound on sound backlog, which is cool and stuff. It's just that it just means it takes me away from being able to have the headspace to make videos on stuff. So I do have a large collection of stuff to do. I mean, priority wise, if you like, I've got a couple of Logic modules from Thonk to make, which are from Frequency Central. Again, the same guys who made this fella, because I want to understand what logic is in Eurorack, because there's a lot of it and people talk about it, logic gates and logic this, that and the other, and Boolean algebra and stuff, and I want to embrace that as something that I could possibly understand. So I have some modules to build and then learn about it and do videos on it, so that's quite exciting. I'm excited by that prospect. I have a Lich from Bafako, which is this strange owl modular thing, which has got like a virtual world within itself. I have one of those to build, which I'm quite excited about, again, because it brings computer programming a bit into it, and that could be interesting. It could offer lots of different possibilities. So I do have that, and that I want to do something on soon. I have the Descartes' Dream to finish. I know it's only a couple of days. It's a couple of days I've got to give it. I've just got to sit down for a couple of days and chew through those voice cards, and it could be on its way.
Hold on. Do you expect it to work when you plug it in? Do you honestly? I mean, I followed your career. I followed this, right? I followed it from the point where you were sourcing your own resistors, and I was there. I was supporting you all the way. And I'm absolutely. I've got the rattle. I've got the scarf. I've got the. If this, when you plug it in, if it goes right, it'll be bloody astonishing. Surely. Oh,
it will. I tell
you.
There's
no way. Is there a way of testing it before? You just got to plug it in.
I think I've just got to plug it in. I mean, people have talked about just doing one voice card and then testing it. But for me, my feeling on that is that if it then doesn't work, I will lose all enthusiasm for it. And I won't finish it ever. So I figure I've got to do all 8 cards. Just got to do the lot. Stick them in. Maybe first turn it on with one, but have it all done. But the funny thing is, it's not the soldering of those cards that's the problem. The problem is putting it in the case and making the power supply, those connections, and the screen at the front, and then I've got to flash the EEPROM or the thing that makes it all work, and I don't actually know how to do that. So there's little gaps in the actual bringing it together that I think is more difficult than the soldering. And so that's going to be the challenge, getting it in the case, getting all those bits right.
Just you've got to what you've got to do for this, right? This is what you have to do. That's got to be the moment you switch that on. It's got to be live.
Yes.
Yeah. You've got to get the guy with the lawnmower and the cockerel in the room, right? And have a Deckard's Dream warming party with the cockerel as the trophy. Not saying you're going to cook the cockerel, but as a trophy. Yes. For the celebration, and maybe if there's a way of instead of having the switch, if the guy with the lawnmower can just pull the ripcord, would be perfect. And then it starts up.
Yeah,
and then
maybe
you play this wonderful piece of Hans Zimmer music comes out of it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, Manu from Bafako has said to me that they all think I've got a charmed life when it comes to DIY, because I sit there and I fudge my way through it, and then it just sort of somehow works at the other end. Although less so now. I've had a couple of failures, but they have been sorted out in the end. But I have, had a surprisingly good run at just getting it to work at the end. And they say, as builders of kits, know full well that a lot of people have struggles along the way. So, maybe these magic fingers will just tickle Deckard's Dream to life. Oh, that's a point, actually. I have a Deckard's Voice on its way to me. Yeah, the little Eurorack one.
Yeah.
That's been round the houses through a few other reviewers' hands, but it's ending up at my house soon as well. So that's very exciting. So I'll have something which will give me a flavour of what it's going to sound like. So that's exciting.
How's the pecking? Obviously, please don't if you tell me to go away. How's the pecking order of the? How's that going? Have you moved up the ranking list? Because I'm all about ranking lists. I've lived my life with a ranking list of where I am. With world number one, then I drop down to you see all the people you went on the way past, and then all of a sudden you pass back past them all. Surely your stock has risen and you've moved up the rankings recently.
I don't know about that. I'd love to say, I don't care about the numbers, man. It's just all about the community. I'm fascinated by the numbers. If you're talking about sort of YouTube numbers and stuff, I've just passed 35,000 subscribers, which feels exciting. What one expected though? One expected more of an exponential curve. You kind of like a little bit, and then and it's not. It's just been a steady growth. Which is fine. That's cool. One expects this huge leap at some point, but it's steady. It's good, and
There's only so many sad people around. I mean, like you can't expect them to be coming out of the woodwork. It's just well, maybe so.
I've never made it onto any of those lists, though. Those lists of top music technology personalities. I've never had a sniff of any of that sort of nonsense.
There was recently I got some sort of spam email from somewhere, and I don't know how I got it, of a way of voting for your favourite person online. Oh, yeah. Your favourite something. I forget who did it now.
Music Radar.
And one of the people was Colin Benders. Yeah. Electronic artist, bloody amazing electronic artist, who I thought should have won hands down, because Colin Benders did the most amazing gesture. I don't know how it happened. Was he gave away free an album, a vinyl LP, and sent it to you free.
Wow.
And thousands. What a star to have done that. Just like Colin Benders. I assume the deal's done now. I bought one as well, so I've got two of his albums. Great techno stuff. Yeah. And during lockdown, he was massively entertaining, doing a performance every night for about 25 hours a day. Just astonishing human individuals. Just incredible stuff. But he should have won that. He didn't. I forget who did, but he should have won it.
It's usually Andrew Wang who is awesome. I got no problem with him winning anything he likes. He's a fabulous guy. But there are other people who deserve these things. I think I ain't bothered, to be honest. It don't bother me. Well, I mean, funny enough, I'm quite. What happens, I think, as you start to grow, is you get the paperwork gets bigger, the correspondence gets bigger. There's more comments to respond to. There's more disagreements that you have with trolley type people, and it just seems to get a little bit unwieldy if you're not careful. So, you know, I'm quite content with the way things are going and the balance of what I can achieve. I'm always a little bit too busy, but then I don't know what it looks like otherwise. You know, I'm a bit scared of sitting around doing nothing. That would be disconcerting.
I have the don't know. I've since basically, you know, this period of time for me has been. I'm in a very fortunate situation, obviously, but all of the stuff I would have done is more or less evaporated. Yeah, obviously, you know, no gigs, that sort of, you know, but part of my job spec would have been doing snooker exhibitions and also public speaking, you know, entertainment of whatever type. And they obviously all stopped. So I've basically been sitting around watching YouTube. It's been great. For ages, and you know, and listening to lawnmowers and stuff like that. It's been, but along the way, sort of thinking it's been great doing the music. That's been, I think, for everybody. Yeah. The fact that I know full well a lot of the hobby areas of seeing good figures during this time, and obviously the synth industry's done marvelously well with people sitting around not having anything to do, but you know, watch and get something and mess around with it. But along the way, the next thing for me, and I'm not trying to plug it, but it's happening. Carvers and I are writing it. Well, Carvers and I are writing a book.
Yes.
Called Medical Grade Music. And it's
tell
been
us about
so
that.
much fun.
I'm going to just stick a link in the what's it to it. But yeah, tell us about that. Yeah,
well, we got approached by White Rabbit Books to write the story of how it unfolded that. A previous member of Cardiacs and also now of Gong and a few other bands and a 6 times ex-world snooker champion got together and became techno DJs, although we're not, and ended up doing DJing around the country and including Glastonbury, and then joined a band. So it's the story of how two unlikely people, the most, you know, perhaps, you know, very unlikely people, ended up joining forces to become 2/3 of the Utopia Strong, and also DJing at Glastonbury, and that journey and how much fun it's been. So the book's coming out in early April on White Rabbit Books, Ryan, the major company, and it's just been so much fun writing it. It's sort of like two life stories happening in music. So there's no mention of any balls flying around a table. But Carvers talks about his music career. And I talk about how I sort of, you know, started off liking prog music when I was a kid and then, you know, stumbled, you know, changed direction, went into soul music. Then how it unfolded that we ended up joining forces to do a radio show. And then the whole journey. And it's been so much fun doing it. And some of the stories obviously have been funny as well. But, you know, DJing in itself is brilliant. I know sort of something you've talked about. It's an interesting thing to do. I never thought I'd enjoy it as much. It's been so much fun doing it. So this book's coming out in April. Dare I say, it's actually quite fun as a read. It's quite a good read, actually. But two stories, two effective autobiographies in one book with chapters alternating. It's quite an interesting thing to do. So, and a guy called Ben Thompson's been coordinating it and not ghostwriting it as much as ghostwriting a bit, but also, you know, it's all our words. But but fascinating how he's done the job. He's had a really tough job in making it seamless with two storylines. Been brilliant to do it. And yeah, listen, it doesn't really make a blind bit of difference. It's just good fun. You know, I think anybody who likes music will enjoy the journey.
I mean, it would make for a good fly on the wall documentary, you know, a bit like Long Way Round, something like that. The Wrong Way Round, you know, the Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman thing. You know, you could do that, just following you DJing and doing stuff in clubs or doing a circuit. You know, you could do, you could follow you around doing the UK circuit or the European circuit of clubs and bits and pieces. I think that would be fascinating. Why medical grade music? Where's the name come from?
Well, it's on the back cover of the album. If you look at the Utopia Strong album, on the back cover, very small music called Medical Grade Music, and it seemed like it was the thing to put on the back, because it's the style of music is sort of like the nth degree. That's what we were. It was the medical stuff. It was the medical grade.
Yeah, interesting term.
Yeah, it seemed like it was. It's obviously applied to something else, but it was more about the musical equivalent of the stuff that you found on the top shelf,
right?
The music that you found on the top shelf, and the music we like. We're a bit sort of musical snobs. We like to think that the music we play on our radio show, the Interesting Alternative Show, is the very good stuff. Yeah. So therefore, it followed that we like our own music because it would never have been put out had we not liked it. We had no intention of making any music in the first place and publishing it. But the fact is, once it was out, we only put it out because we liked it. That we think it's sort of like, pathetically, we think it's the best music in the world. Obviously, of course you do.
That's okay. It's okay.
So we call it medical grade.
Yeah, no, it's okay to like your own music. I mean, that seems somehow crass to our British ears. What do you mean? We need to be more humble than that. But no, I think it's right on. You need to, you've done something awesome, and you need to celebrate that and grab hold of that. And also, strong shirt action on the front of the cover, as I mentioned to you earlier.
It's a good cover. It's a good cover. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. So I've invested in another shirt. I might have to buy a few more if we start doing DJing as well. So our plan was, with the publishers, we were going to be doing a tour of the UK, book tour, where we talk about the book, right, and then maybe DJ afterwards.
Nice.
But of course, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Never mind.
There's time. This year may yet shape up to be something more than a footnote. We
were intending what we were going to do. The band was going to play at airports in the W.H. Smiths, and we were book signings at W.H. Smiths as people passed by so it'd be me on the synth, Carvis on guitar and loop pedals and harmonium, Mike York playing the bagpipes as people went to their gates to get on their plane. It would have been a great thing. Yeah. It would have been a great idea. I mean,
just having a little modular rack sitting there, I think would be fascinating for people. Because it's just the aesthetic, the lights, the cables hanging off it. It is a fascinating device on many levels. If you had that, if you sat next to that signing books or whatever, I think that would do that. That would be great.
My next plan, although it's a bit further down the line, would be when I get a little bit more, not proficient, but a little bit more sort of that I can help other people, that it might be a nice idea. And I know there's a guy in America doing it, going into schools, showing kids how to, that I might try my local area to see if there's anybody interested in doing that. Might be a good fun to expose them to, and then to let them have a twiddle. And see if they can get better sounds out of the modules and get more percentage out of the morphogene than I can. That might be a good idea.
That sounds like fun.
That's the plan.
Yeah. I mean, I've been talking to Anna from Modular Moon, funnily enough, about because I would really like to do sort of some teaching. I mean, teaching, a demonstration, whatever it is. I really have enjoyed the seminars that I've done, and things like that. They're a lot of fun and interesting, and it's a really good way of engaging with people. And I've really flirted with the idea of setting up a UK Modular Moon, using their syllabus and that. I just don't have the time or the bandwidth for it. But I think it's a lovely idea. It could be so engaging for people who don't see music in these ways, because it's a different way of looking at music, because you see these things happening, and there's a connection there that you don't get from, I don't think you get it from hitting an MPC or triggering loops in Ableton. I don't think it's the same feeling. It's something else, which is I like that.
I think there's still a lot of people that would be drawn to this who are not aware it's happening, or not aware of modular synthesis in general, and aren't aware that they would be capable of probably enjoying themselves if they knew it. If they knew a little bit, and they knew it actually was. So it's great that Signal Sounds and Elevator Sound have got high street shops. The chance of possibly somebody stumbling upon. And once you get them in, I think once you're in this sort of, you're hooked. As if you've still got one person left in the chat room after this drivel, right? then it's done. That person is hooked because we're all hooked on it, regardless of whether we're ever going to make any music. We're forgetting the fact that it shouldn't just be the hobby of getting stuff. And you quite rightly say, go and make some music, because if you don't do that, you are totally wasting your time, because that's a sad hobby. So you've got to make the music, even if it means not listening to your favorite records on the turntable. Go and make this is absolutely right. But I reckon once you get somebody that knows it exists, you've got a fan for life now. I think it can happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, someone who is addicted, Andy, in the chat, who I've watched his rack explode, I think, over the past year. He's asking how often you re-rack your modules. Is that something that you do?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I mean, like, apart from the fact it's like it's the worst game of Tetris in the world. Yeah, you have to, don't you?
You do.
And like because you buy you get something that replaces something else. And the other thing is, I mean, where do you put LFOs? Where do they go? I mean,
are you trying to put things in order?
Just like,
oh, that's madness.
I just like, I can understand you put the VCAs quite close to the mixer, although they're always going to be close to my mixer because it's so bloody big. But where do these things go? Where does a sample and hold module go? Okay, start off on the left. Is it left to right because we're British? We're Western. Yeah, so you start off with the voices and then you move through. But the LFOs are their own entity. They come in wherever you want them to. Bloody nuisance, aren't they?
They do, yeah. They're all over the place. But I've just got in this Maestro from Acid Modular. I can't quite remember. And it's 6 LFOs or 6 output LFOs with sort of an engine inside that you can stack up LFOs, so it's constantly changing or evolving or going zooping from one sort to another. So if you imagine you stick that into like a filter and it goes wob 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 wob, in a cycle, and you think, well, that's just flipping awesome, we'll give that a go. But exactly, where do I put it? I mean I tend to put oscillators on the left a bit, but after that it's all a game after that. Goes any old where.
I think I'm going to try and stop for the moment.
Stop taking it apart.
Stop taking it apart and stop getting anything else. Just for a little while, and actually try and learn 10% of a module rather than just the 3% I know, and actually get some type of and I've heard so many people say this. Okay, less is more. If you keep on expanding, you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah.
Get your rig and stay with it, and use that as the instrument, and don't. But it's so tempting to try something else out, and then you get another box, and then I really felt for you when you had to get your next new box, and now I really felt for you because I'd already got to that stage. And I'm watching Gaz. Gaz is doing the same now. He's just he's getting another box, and I can, I want to phone him up and put an arm around his shoulder and say, Gaz, it's not about the quantity, and what you do. So I keep on changing. Yeah. It's awful. Yeah. But at the moment, I'm staying. I'm staying with what I've got.
I mean, it's interesting with Gaz actually because last year when I met him for the first time at this Thomann synth reactor thing we were at. Not last year, now the year before last, and he was not modular at all. He was very much no thank you, I'm completely happy with not being remotely modular. And it's just been really interesting to watch his little journey. I mean, of course people are throwing stuff at him, which is great, he's in a position for that to happen, but the way he explores stuff is just brilliant. I mean, he was up at 5 o'clock in the morning or something doing a jam the other night. It's like, what are you doing? But because he's such an inspired, energetic person that just, I don't know, there's something about that. He's made a real good connection with modular that I think is fascinating to watch.
Yeah, and of course, once again, they've gone down the road of going, I'm just going to jump in and see how this goes. And the failing thing is, I think it's
Yeah,
important for
yeah,
us punters. You know, I think there's a room for it, and not everybody. If everybody was failing, it'd be hilarious. You know,
yeah.
and of course, you know, the manufacturers who then go, I'm going to send this module to this guy who's going to fail with it. They must go, well, maybe we don't put him so far up the ranking list. Maybe we drop him down a couple of divisions. But on the other hand, if they then stick with it and grow with it and then go back to it, that's quite the fascinating thing as well, because you can grow with it, especially if you've then bought the module as well and you can see it. How are you doing with clouds? I've got clouds. I think it's great. How are you doing with that? Come on now. Come on. You can do it.
I sold that on ages ago. Ages.
Oh.
Yeah, I did a video on it probably a couple of years ago now. I sort of like, this is as far as I've got with it. I get it, sort of. But I'm not having a fun time with it. I don't. What do these do?
I quite like it. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the one trick pony thing for me, but it works. I really like the bed it lays down. I just feel it makes me sound better.
Yeah.
That's got to be a good module, isn't it?
I understand that. I don't think I was. Yeah, I don't think I was using it right. I don't think it was doing. Yeah, I don't think it just didn't seem to fit for some reason, and I just decided to stop sort of flogging it. But I do totally understand that it's a wonderful thing for lots of people, and the version 2, which is tantalizingly close. I feel.
Do you know more? Do you know what is extra in that? Have you got inside information? Come on.
No, I sadly not. I mean, only reading what Emily has said about it, in as much as I know that she wasn't particularly happy with clouds as it was. She thought it was very limiting and didn't really reflect what she was going for, regardless of the fact that it's one of the most popular modules ever. So my hope is that the version 2 will I'll connect with it better, because it will be, I don't know, it will be everything that she wanted it to be. And so that, to me, because she's an artist, you know, the way that she does these modules is quite extraordinary, that it'll just be a very inspirational thing. Oh, I mean, ultimately, this is me trooping out adjectives for no particular reason. I just want to plug something in for it to sound nice out the other end. I mean, you know, that's what I'm after. And I imagine that it will. That's the key to that, I think.
The other one of those that I got was the Panharmonium by Rossum. That makes me sound better.
Yeah,
that's clever thing.
That's intense. Those Rossum Electro guys, they're scientists.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like you can do any wrong with that. I like modules where that happens.
So
I seem to have a lot of modules where, it makes me sound great. It makes his shirt look boring. That's how good it is. Well, it's a thing, and there's lots of knobs on it. It gets up there, and you put just a sound in, and other things come out.
And
it's really good.
Out.
It's a textural synthesizer. Mutating spectral synthesizer. It cuts things up and granulizes them and spews them out, and you can then octave shift them, and it sounds. You can make it sound like sort of bagpipes on its own to some degree. Weird, but it doesn't obviously just do that. I think the gentleman from Chris Mayer from
Learning Modular
has done a good demo on it. If you're interested, if anybody's interested in it. Clever thing. Yeah, and as I say, I'm only using 5% of it, or 1% of it. I know, but it's a good 1%. Yeah.
Oh, see, they scare me. It just looks so complicated. I mean, and there's lots of words. I mean, because I've written this up, of course, because I write, as you know, I write for Gear News amongst other things, and there are occasions where I'm writing stuff up going, I have no idea what this means, but I'm just sort of trying to pull and reshape the words that are coming out of the marketing into something that makes some kind of sense to me. And this is one of those, I don't know, I'm just writing stuff, and I don't really know what is going to happen out the other end. I'll have to watch DivKid's video on it when that turns up. So
I think that is the beauty to some degree, that you don't, if you do know, you know. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then if you have more knowledge, you can then use it to your advantage more. We know that, yeah, obviously. But
Yeah.
even the basic punter can get some sounds out of these modules that makes them feel good. I think that's just a wonderful thing about it. Because if you sit down at a keyboard and you are unable to play it, what can you do with a keyboard? I know you can press arpeggiator or whatever, but you can't. But these things, the happy accidents are amazing, and you feel good, but also you then slowly learn, and it brings you back for more without putting you off. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And it's the I mean, even in software, you can click with the mouse and put notes into things, but it's not the same as just dialing in a couple of notes on some kind of sequencer or connecting in the Turing machine and then letting that do its thing while you play and find things that sound nice.
And then you think it's you, and then you think you've done something great, fantastic, and then get some more sliders and slide them up and down and Batumi it and whatever, and then you're off and running, and you think you're a genius. It's brilliant. What a great idea.
It is. And every now and again it sounds like it sounds like a modular, and it bubbles, and you go, I see, look, I'm doing this properly now, because I've got it's like that. It's like with the maths was one of my early modules, and I still don't really understand it fully, but I understood quite quickly the two envelopes, the rise, the fall. And the brilliant thing that I could use one of them as an LFO, or use a Batumi for that matter, plug that into the fall or rise on the other side, and you'd get this envelope which would go big, and then it would go and then it would go big again. And it's like, this is real modular, man. I've worked that out. That's fantastic. I felt like that was a real achievement in getting that to do.
I don't see why you really need modules with your explanations. They're good enough to sample anyway. It's just marvellous.
Yeah, I could do it live.
I enjoyed your Todd Barton, your patch, the Krell patch.
The Krell patch,
yeah, an interesting thing. Yeah. That video was good fun. I've tried that. That's good fun. I know there are loads of different ways of doing it, but that was interesting. I need to go back and do that again, so I couldn't tell you how to do it now. It's sort of thing that I worked on, learned, put it together, did the video, and enjoyed that, and then have moved on. But I don't retain complex instructions very well. So, but yeah, it's a good thing to do though, because it does. Again, it's a very modular sounding thing. It feels like you're winning. It feels like you're winning. You're doing it right, and that's helpful. I would say my biggest problem currently, and I'm at a certain level on the learning curve. My biggest problem is I go, right, I'm going to have a night of trying to learn a module rather than make any music. And I end up making some music, and then I sit down and I listen to the same repetitive music for 3 hours and never learn anything. But I've enjoyed making that. Therein lies the problem. That I'm not getting any further in my knowledge, but I'm bloody enjoying myself.
Yeah, but well, then that's okay then, isn't it? I think. I mean, if you're being distracted by good things, you're not being distracted by swiping through reels on Instagram or, bits of nonsense on the telly. You're being distracted by making music. That's got to be allowed, I think.
Yeah.
Do you use a quantizer? Asks Martin.
Oh God, do I? Oh, yeah. Of course I do. I mean, so here's the thing. Don't get it. And I don't, no disrespect. Don't get the ADAC intuitive quantizer. The word intuitive, the red one, the intuitive quantizer. I've never as a module been misrepresented as much as the intuitive. Anyway, perhaps I've got a duff one. I don't know. I mean, I do apologise if the man from ADAC is listening to this, right? And I don't think it's going to make any difference to his sales, right? And I know they do other great modules. It's not intuitive. It isn't. There's other things out there that are far. I use one of your unfavourite modules on that for quantizing, and I basically use them just as quantizers because they don't take up much space, which is the disting.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So I can quantize a couple of Tone Star is not quantized, and also obviously the Turing machine is not quantized. And you can there's a dual quantizer, H4, if you're interested. There you go, H4. You can H4 it. You can H4 it, or you can, if you want, you can A6 it. If you A6 it, you get a bit more flexibility. But H4 it's good enough. And then you've got two. And so I use that. But I think there's something else coming out that's going to be a quad quantizer soonish that I don't know. Because I've also got the tip top trigger,
yes.
not the trigger right, the CV ZX Z800 Z whatever Z something.
What, the
CV matrix as opposed to the trigger matrix.
Okay, yeah.
But that's not quantized, and you've got you could possibly have 8 unquantized outputs from that. So somehow, if you wanted to, if you ever wanted to, you'd need 8 quantizers.
Yeah, the ADAC one is 4 channels, isn't it?
4 channels of madness. 4 channels, total madness.
Yeah, because I've looked at that thinking.
Yeah. You can have mine. You can have it. You can have mine. Right? I'll sell it to you for £1. Right?
Yeah, well, I have looked at it a lot in the past because you end
lovely.
up with lots of quantizers. That seem to be the way. I've got a good one from Tenderfoot. My mate at Tenderfoot, he makes some really nice modules, and one of them is a quad quantizer, I think, which I use very, very simply. I haven't really dug into it because it has the ability to change chords as you go and save configurations and things like that. But I just dial up a couple of notes and let it go, which is that's what I like.
Well, the HP of 2 distings is less than or no more than the ADAC and then you got 4 quantizers there. So even if you only ever use it for that, apart from all the other things it can do, but then you're going down the Bafako road anyway, so you don't need the distings.
Oh, with the lick, I suppose, but it's a much wider module. I mean, I'm unfair on the disting often. I mean, I do use it when for things exactly as you say. I use it often for if I'm trying to run a smaller rack with something that I'm testing out, I'll stick it in and use it as a reverb or use it as a delay, because I have to have those things. Those 2 things I find are the must-haves in every rack. I must have a reverb and I must have a delay. It's just the way of things. It makes everything better. And so if you're feeling that your rack's not really sounding as awesome as you think, just stick it through a reverb. I mean, if at worst, well, not at worst, stick it through Valhalla DSP or something like that on your computer at the other end. Anything like that, it just makes the world a better place.
If anybody had told me that I was going to end up as a non-guitarist with half a dozen guitar pedals. Oh,
go on then. Tell us what have you got? A big Sky? Is that the starting point?
No, I've got a space. I've got an Eventide space reverb.
Yeah.
I've got my delay. I've got delays anyway. What else I've got? I've got a looper. I've got a ditto looper. Oh, I'm so sad. I've got a delay. I've got an analog delay that Gaz forced me to buy called Memory Man. Yeah, because I watched that video and then I got that. Yeah. Then I saw a Heimbach video where he was raving about the Murph, the Moga Fuga bass Moga Fuga. I had to have that. I got one of those on reverb. I'm just, and we've all gone down that road. I mean, golfers have bought new golf clubs. I've got a lot of pedals, and I have got a guitar actually, but I can play C and G and E and D and F and no bar chords. That's where it all stopped.
Yes.
But I've got loads of pedals.
How are you routing them in? How are you routing in and out to them?
Well, via my hex mixer, man.
Oh, of course.
No, of course. No, but various ways. I've got a variety of ways to mix to get them in. I've got an ALM little module.
Right.
I've also got what else have I got in that? Oh, well, obviously the hex mixer's got 1/4-inch outs, makes it easy peasy.
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
And I've also got How sad am I? It's just terrible.
On what level?
There was nothing to do. There was nothing to do in lockdown, was there? I mean, there was nothing. But what was there to do? Mow the grass. Anyway,
I think other people had different experiences, perhaps. But yes, I understand that.
I decided that I wasn't going to be stupid about it. I have quite a big record collection, and some of the soul music I bought in the past, and is rare. So I knocked out a few. I thought I'll sell some soul records to people who want to pay stupid money for 7-inch records, and then bought pedals with them. So it wasn't as bad as it seems. Yeah, so I did that, and then of course I had to get the MTX8. Is it MTMX8? Finley's Future Sound Systems Matrix.
Oh wow! Yes.
Thing.
To be able
to. Brilliant. So this, you can route the pedals in whichever way, shape, or form you want, just by putting a pin in and put it. Just brilliant. But really important point that you probably know about, but my learning curve is the Eventide pedals are center positive and the other pedals are center negative. What is that all about? Why?
Well, don't they all take 9-volt batteries up in the back? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Oh, I don't know. I mean, guitar pedals is a whole other rabbit hole to fall down, isn't it? You're going to end up with a pedal board.
Why can't they make them all the same center? No. Why?
No.
What is it?
I don't know. Can't do that.
Anyway.
No, I've got yeah.
Well, go on, carry on.
So I've got a little Strymon module called an A1, I think it might be, which is a send return for guitar effects, expressly for guitar effects. It's very, very useful. And again, it's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things that I would like. So it's got 1/4-inch sort of send return, and then it comes out in mini jack. And it's one of those things I'm meant to do a video about. I've meant to do a video about for ages and ages and ages, and never quite got around to it. Something to do with the fact, the only pedals I have now are Behringer ones, funny enough, the TC Electronics, which are all right. I've got just 3 little pedals because I condensed my guitar stuff a little while ago because I always made the wrong choices with guitar effects. I was always getting stuff that was too complicated that I would always get frustrated with. And it's only since dropping down, I dropped down to like an orange amplifier, orange combo rocker 30, and a guitar. And that was beautiful. And there was no multi effects. There was no amp modeling, speaker emulations. It was just a fuck off guitar amp that made a hell of a lot of noise. I could never put it above 2, because it would just destroy the neighborhood. And that was fantastic. I've got a little bit more elegant now. I've now got a Katana, a Boss one, which has got a little bit of effects in it, just enough delay to keep it interesting. And that's beautiful. So I've kind of sidestepped guitar rabbit holes because of that.
Gaz is your man. I'm sure he's got a few pedals to knock out as long as he's reviewed them. He's probably got a box under his desk of pedals he can send your direction. That'd be okay.
Yeah,
this has been good fun. I without wanting to outstay our welcome, I don't know if there's any questions, but I'd just like to say it's been great fun. Thank you very much for all the entertainment you've given me, and hopefully everybody in the chat room enjoys your stuff. I'm not wrapping this up. I just thought I'd say I don't want to outstay my welcome, but also just to say I've only had 1 beer. I might sound like I'm pissed, but I'm not. I've just had 1 beer. I'm just enjoying myself.
Yeah, no, I'm the same, but I'm quite a cheap date these days, so worry about that too much. No, it's been great. It's been an absolute delight. It's been a joy to talk to you, mate. And we probably should bring it to a close. I mean, we've clocked a couple of hours, which is enough for most people, I think.
Yeah.
So in the chat. Yeah. If you have any more questions, do throw them in the dying seconds, and I'll see if I can get them answered.
And hopefully at some stage, as we originally planned, to come up to, at the very least, hang out and have a beer at the Norwich the modular meet up there, or the open night, whatever it was. Yeah,
that's right. That would be great.
We should actually sit down with our modulars and have a collaboration and see what crap comes out the other end, and then. Everybody can then go, you talk a good game, but...
Yes. Yeah, no, that would be great.
2022? No,
gotta be,
2021 late. Never mind. Never mind. Happy birthday, Robert Wyatt. Great. No questions. I love
Yeah,
it
no questions.
That's
I'm
perfect.
just
I think we've
gonna have a
answered
look back
everything.
a bit. Yeah, I think we have. I think everyone's like,
Yeah, gone to bed. Yeah, perfect.
yeah.
Go and make some tunes. Oh, that's you. So what's my? I forget what my
What's your tagline?
Be
147,
interested.
mate.
Be interesting was mine. Yeah, good
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah. Marvelous.
Marvelous. Yeah, no one cares. That's the
Great. That's the
that's
best way.
the best way to be.
I agree. I'm
Well,
gonna take the shirt.
Wishbone does ask when did you get into repetitive beats? So yeah, you said you went. I mean, you're a little bit older than me, aren't you? Are you a 70s child?
All right.
Is that rude of me to say?
That's outrageous. Yeah, I was. I'm 1957 born. I was absolutely prime material for prog rock. And
Wow,
whilst I didn't like all prog rock, I liked certain prog rock, and I wasn't massively into Tangerine Dream at the time. But I did like the one band I think that probably started to alert me to repetitive music was Magma. I've got actually I think apologies there's a Magma box set there on the so Magma are a band from France who are not afraid of repeating music, and that was probably my first exposure, because most prog rock was quite twiddly stuff. I quite liked Gentle Giant. I wasn't so bothered about Genesis and Yes. I liked the left the field things, but it took me a long time before I really fully appreciated the repetitive stuff. And I would say it was the second coming of listening to alternative music after I'd been a bit of a soul boy. I went back to, and then I started to discover Steve Reich and Terry Riley and all of the other stuff. And then once I discovered a lot of the electronic artists, I gravitated towards repetitive. I just think it's brilliant. I think it's hypnotic stuff. So I'm happy listening to it all the time. It absolutely, other people run a million miles from it. For me, there's an element of that is just the best, with slow changes. And whilst I don't listen to techno at home, because I think you've got to be in the right place. Techno music in a club where it slowly changes is massively underrated by people who don't understand it. I'm not the most immense fan of techno, but I understand exactly where it's coming from. It's come from exactly the same place, and the slow changes are wonderful. So it's relatively new, I'd say, perhaps since sort of 2000, that I started to really appreciate that again and appreciate it.
Were you much of a clubber? Have you done clubbing? Were you a 90s clubber?
No. In the 90s, when the raves, when it all happened, I was in snooker mode.
Right.
So I missed. Yeah. So I was a million miles away from that. I wasn't aware of all of that going on. I wouldn't have understood what was happening. I never knew about it first time. My first exposure of anything that was relatively techno was actually Surgeon. Okay. And we write about it in the book, but no. The way I got into more electronic music was from having guests on our show, the radio show, and we let people play their own music or play their favorite music. And one bunch of guests came on, a band came on, and they were very much into electronic artists, and they played One O Tricks Point Never and Tim Hecker and Balls of Canada and Ulteca and that. And my interest was piqued more than I'd ever knew. And as a result of that, I sort of sought out some more stuff and went to a record shop and found a Surgeon record that the owner of the record shop told me about. And I went home and listened to it, and I thought, wow, this is just brilliant. So then started to investigate more techno stuff as well. But it's difficult. You don't dance at home to techno. It's better in a club. But I've never really. We DJ'd at Block Weekend. Last ever Block Weekend, Carvis and I DJ'd. It was our first ever proper DJing spot, and Surgeon was on with Blauen, and I watched Surgeon and Blau and DJ or Techno with Modular in the main room, and I was blown away. I thought, what clever! They're both clever, obviously. And then we went into the next room, one of the smaller rooms, and watched a guy called Appleblim playing with Second Story. And Appleblim was playing techno, and Second Story was on little drum pads, and just thought, this is just a world I've never experienced before. And the end result was that I jumped in the deep end of a little bit of techno and buying some of the higher end stuff, I thought, but I don't want to make any. And we don't DJ much with it. We DJ a complete cross section. We don't DJ a lot of techno, even though we've got a small reputation for being techno DJs. We're not good enough to be tech. We can't mix a cake. Yeah, we can't do it. It's not a skill base I have any clue about, but I love the music.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah. So are you more sort of down tempo, sort of ambient sort of vibe?
Yeah, and I would have thought years back, I would have thought that ambient was a dirty word, but I've really, since then, I've realised how clever stuff it is. So I sort of retrospectively got into a lot of ambient stuff that I never thought I would be into. So, Scanner, Ian Body's DIN imprint label's got so much great stuff on it.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Milo Melodies recommended an album by Suzumu Yokota called Suzumu Yokota called Sakura. Unbelievable. A guy called Michael Stearns, an album called Planetary Unfolding, space ambient, unbelievable stuff that I never would have listened to even 10 years ago, that I'm now loving. Maybe it's getting older. Maybe I don't necessarily want some of the intricate rocking opposition stuff I used to listen to, but I still listen to Magma, but I'm prepared to listen to a lot more ambient stuff now. Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful, I think.
Yeah. And so hopefully tonight, once I have a few more beers, apart from my first beer, I might listen to Michael Stearns' Planetary Unfolding and tell me how wonderful that is.
Right, I will.
Just incredible artist. He's made loads of film soundtracks, but if you were thinking about what would be the soundtrack to a sci-fi film, this album should be the soundtrack to a sci-fi film. Yeah. Anyway, that's
Well, funny enough, that's one way that we do access that kind of music. We get a lot of those sorts of influences happening in soundtracks, both telly and film. Although, I mean, I'm always slightly depressed that it tends to be the same composers over and over again when there's the opportunity to engage such fabulous people and possibilities in these things. Hans Zimmer, he's everywhere. God bless him.
In my local village, when I was another lifetime ago, I bumped into a guy who was a jingle maker and a very good professional one, and he invited me to his studio. It was only like half a mile from where I lived. He had the most amazing studio, incredible, like two sound recording, and a major center part, incredible. And he made it all from making jingles. And he said to me, "I'm not the best jingle maker, but I'm a safe pair of hands."
Yeah.
And I wonder if sometimes that's the criterion for when they pick an artist, that then nobody's really prepared to take a risk on a new artist.
Yeah, there's so much money involved, isn't there?
Yeah,
ultimately.
and I mean, One O Tricks Point Never's got more into. They do go down the road of making more film soundtracks once they're established. But it'd be nice to sort of give it to somebody new and fresh, because usually, or many times, an artist's best work is their first few albums. Not saying all the time, but I think that's when they get their best ideas come early on. Not always, but
like one name I do know, because I'm always out of my depth when people are talking about electronic music, because I don't really know enough about it. But just as a side, Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
He and what's his name, Alexandra, did the music for Soul. Was it a Disney animation or a Pixar animation? Let me get this right. Whichever one it is that's on the Disney Channel. And it's this beautiful movie about a jazz pianist who dies in an accident and then tries to fight his way back because he was just about to have his moment of being successful. and then he falls down a manhole and dies. And so there's this whole thing in this strange afterlife, or is it pre-life place, and he's trying to fight his way back. But anyway, so Nine Inch Nails essentially did the soundtrack to it, and it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating, and you can hear it because it's not wild and crazy, but it is also wild and crazy because it's Trent Reznor, and that it's always going to have his character in there. And it's amazing the little journey that he's been on, because I remember back on sort of the bad old days of the internet when it was all text, he was a champion of doing it yourself. He was get it out on SoundCloud, manage everything yourself. You're the only person who can do it for you. Forget all the record companies and that kind of thing. And then suddenly he went, sod this. I'm like a star. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to phone up Sony and demand that they do my records. And so Sony went, yeah, all right then. And so he's then been able to, because basically he got so frustrated with the amount of paperwork and the faff of being your own manager, being your own promotion, doing your own social media, all those sorts of things which he thought were the way forward. And they are for many of us. But when you release yourself from that, he was then able to be extraordinarily creative, and things like How to Destroy Angels was the next project that came along, and from there he then went on to be nominated for Oscars for soundtracks. Just releasing himself into that kind of creativity. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just thought I know a name of somebody.
Well done. Well, yeah. But, the only other thing I thought was quite relevant to that was what I was thinking about. That was the fact that I assume sort of the people I've admired recently are that with Modular are the ones that are making poppier stuff. Not because I like that type of music, but I was thinking, how on earth do you turn a mod? So what Finley does, on it, he makes pop chip, whatever you call them.
Pop punk, electronic somehow something. But yeah, absolutely. He writes songs.
Yeah, how clever's that? Yeah. And also I was listening to something that Chris Meyer made recently, and even though I didn't like it in one respect because it wasn't my type of music, how clever is he? Now, he obviously wrote the book. He wrote the Patch and Tweak book, so he's obviously going to be clever. He seems to know everything, but his music is more sophisticated because I forget what it is. It's only a recent. If you go on Chris Meyer's, I think it's the last video he's made, or it's on. No, it's the. Do you know WMD's Fred boutique? WMD,
the modular makers, right? Yeah.
Okay, so on their YouTube channel, they have regular sessions where they have performers. Brilliant. Prefer that to look at any of NAMM. I was watching WD. They had a special. It's called Fred Boutique, and they have like 4 performers on 25 minutes, and then they do a 5-minute interview with them. And Chris Meyer did one on there, and it was a poppier track with so many twists and turns. I was thinking, how on earth does he get that out of a modular when all I can do is do a repetitive section? And as you've quite rightly said, how do you turn it into something else? How clever is that to then move it on? As you was asking Travasi last night, how do you change it to do more than a 10-15 minute piece live?
Yes.
And Chris Meyer can do it, and so can Look Mum No Computer, well, in a different way, but also
Melodies.
Myler as well. Yeah. Bloody clever people. They got to pick their brains. I think what we do is we trap them in a room and we basically torture them until we get the information out of them. That would be a nice way to go.
Yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put in a quick plug then. Talking
go for it. Yeah, you're on soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on this thing, right? This
looking forward to it.
Southern California Synth Society very kindly went Travaso as a founding member of that. They have a gig this Saturday called the NAMMless Modular Madness Marathon, and so it's a Southern California Synth Society if you Google it, or SoCal Synth Society, and it's just a big party of there's like 16 people who have contributed a track, sort of a 15-minute track. It's a 4-hour concert. Over in this side of the world, it's on it from 8 till midnight, I think, and I think I'm number 2. They want to, before people turn up, I'm the warm up while people are getting their drinks, that kind of thing. But
are you happy? Are you happy with it?
Am I happy with the track?
Are you happy? Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I listened to it on my phone the other day and thought, oh dear, because you can't hear that bass note stepping up, and that bass note was really important. But yeah, I was happy. I was happy enough. It was very. It felt out of character. It's a bit grungy in places, but I just hooked into this particular sound and thought I'm just driving with that. That's going to take me through, and that's what I worked on. And it wasn't. It's not as good as I feel it could have been. I could have spent another week on it, but it was. I thought, yeah, this will do, and I'll feel good about that. I've no idea what everybody else sounds like, and I have no clue as to how to compare myself to others. So it's going to be interesting to watch, and just to see. I don't know. That's different. I don't mind talking to camera. I can make a fool of myself on camera, talking about any old crap. But when you start putting your own music out there, that's a different feeling. So
yeah.
Anyway. That's this Saturday, so that
Right.
should be fun. You've got people I can read. Other people. You've got Nathan Moody, Cytec, Tupla Dusher, Voltage Controller, Drum and Lace, Walker Farrell. Oh, that's Thing from Thing, isn't it? She's Excited, B-Boy Tech, Nasty Nachos. Yeah, all sorts of people in there. So it should be a good night. I'll stick a link to the.
Great. Well, I don't think I'm doing anything Saturday. I mean, I wasn't going partying, and there's a rave and there was a wedding in my area, but
of course, round your way,
400 people at a wedding somewhere I can't go to anymore, and I was going to do my hair, but that's it's gone now, so I might as well tune in.
Yeah, stick it on in the background. It'll be great.
Yeah, fantastic. Good luck with it. I hope it goes well. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably bring this to a close then. I think because so people can get off and have the rest of their lives. So Steve, thank you so much for spending this time with me. It's been great. We have to do it again. I think that would be super. And it's been great. I can't wait till the book comes out. Looking forward to that. Can't wait till the record comes out. Looking forward to that too. You know, it's been great meeting you and getting to know you a bit as I have over the last few weeks, and this evening's been brilliant. I loved it.
Pleasure.
I hope everyone in the chat has got something out of it.
And thanks very much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. And once again, thanks very much for all the entertainment over the last year since I've stumbled upon your brilliant, and I'm sure everybody agrees as well. So yeah, keep it up. Yeah.
God bless you. All right, so we'll where are you? You're over there. Ching, ching, ching. Oh God. So yeah, I'll hit the button and we'll get out of here, and we'll see everybody next time. Oh, I might have a live stream on Monday. Not sure yet because I'm just trying to finish my Molten Monthly, which I don't have time to finish. I will try to finish it by the weekend. This month's stuff. I can't do a live stream on Sunday. Besides, Sunday's really busy. I'm going to start moving off Sundays, I think. So probably Monday night. I'm going to see if I can do a just myself live stream chat then. So I might see some of you then. That would be great. Otherwise, stuff will come along and you should go and make some tunes. So I don't think the wink works. I don't think I'll do the wink. So anyway, all right. Cheers then everyone. Thanks for that. See you later.